No more aspartame. Straight up.
Good morning. It is straight up 9 o'clock, and it's time to get this meeting started. Welcome everyone here today. Got a lot of proclamations. See a lot of good people in the audience this morning, and we're just glad to see each and every one of you. Let's start with prayer. I will ask Kurt Thingmeyer, pastor at Calvary Lutheran, to please come forward and start us with an invocation. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. And good morning to all of you as well. Let us pray. Good and gracious God, I ask your blessing upon these our elected leaders, whom we have called upon to lead us in the way of doing justice, loving mercy, and walking humbly with our neighbors. May your spirit of grace, truth, and wisdom be upon them to lead and guide them in their deliberations, that all may be well with us in San Angelo, especially for those of us who are most vulnerable. In our Savior's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
And now it is my honor to bring to the front Kyron McLaurin, which is 10 years old and a 5th grader at Bradford, Logan McLaurin, who is 9 years old and a 3rd grader at Bradford, and Miss Taylor McLaurin, who is 8 years old and a 2nd grader at Bradford Elementary, and I will be assisting them. And Karen, I missed you. I'm glad to see you. Taryn Briley, who is a 7 years old and a 1st grader at Wall ISD. And I would ask y'all please to come forward so that we may assist you in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Welcome. Let's get right here. And let's look at the Texas. Let's look at the American flag and then the Texas. Let's start with the American. Get us started.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's go to the Texas.
Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Right here, let's get a picture right here. Where you want it, Brian? Okay. Come right here and let's get a picture. Everybody got it? Got one mama getting one. Thank y'all so very much. And every one of those children recited that pledge plainly, cleanly, and perfectly. I am very proud of all 4 of you. Thank you so very much. The first proclamation this morning will be Safe Kids San Angelo. It will be accepted by Katie Weidenhofer, which is a Safe Kids San Angelo coordinator. And if you would, please come forward and I will read this. Katie, are you here? You are here. Welcome, ma'am. Good morning. Safe Kids San Angelo celebrates its 20th birthday in May with the mission of protecting our most precious assets, our children. More than 30,000 families have learned how to prevent unintentional injuries and accidents in that time. Helmet safety, car seat safety, and water and fire safety are hallmarks of the program. Safe Kids has checked more than 18,000 car seats for proper installation and consistently found 3 out of 4 car seats are improperly installed or damaged. New car seats are provided to those families free of charge. New to Safe Kids is a program that empowers children to protect themselves against bullying, child abuse, human trafficking, and abduction called RAD Kids. Implemented in the SAISD K-4 program, more than 7,800 students are currently benefiting from this powerful program. Safe Kids is a community to help future generations grow up safe. On May 6, 2015, Safe Kids San Angelo is planning a birthday party and will be inviting our local city leaders to celebrate their milestone. Therefore, I, Dwayne Morrison, Mayor of the City of San Angelo, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim May 6, 2015 as Safe Kids San Angelo. Thank you, ma'am. And you get to make sense. I'm going to limit you to 30 minutes, though.
How about 3 seconds? Thank you very much. Safe Kids San Angelo has been in existence since 1995. Thank you, Dr. Jane Ryder, for bringing the idea to San Angelo, Texas. And it's with our continued support and all of you that stand up, protect, serve, and educate our children, because that's our most precious resource we have in the world. And I thank you, thank you. Without that, and without all of us coming together, that is something that would not have happened. So I thank all of you, and tomorrow we get to celebrate at least 100 of our partners that we've had in the community and in West Texas. Thank you, and please give a round of applause for our little ones that we've got here today. They're our most precious resource we have.
Thank you so much. The next proclamation is Blues Festival Day. This will be on May 9. It will be accepted by Clay Hubbard, the president of San Angelo Blues Society, and the rest of y'all come up too. We got a whole group of blues people here today, and this is going to be a big deal come Saturday, isn't it? Yes, sir, exactly. Y'all all come forward and let me read this. What a group. The San Angelo Blues Society Festival had its modest beginning in 2009 and has progressed in size for a couple of hundred visitors to a crowd of over 10,000 guests in 2013. San Angelo Blues Society presents the 7th annual Simply Texas Blues Festival to further its mission of preserving and promoting the blues as a historically relevant art form, education of the public, promoting our musicians and venues, and San Angelo, Texas as a blues music oasis. The day-long May Festival serves several purposes within that mission, namely a competition to select a band and a solo duo act to represent San Angelo at the yearly International Blues Challenge on Memphis's famous Beale Street, a fundraiser for the Society's scholarships to local colleges, and a free and family-friendly concert in historic downtown San Angelo. The festival has brought statewide and national recognition to San Angelo and its music scene. Acts have performed from as far away as Alaska and Canada, as well as our wonderful local musicians. Our headliner acts now feature nationally and internationally known blues artists. Our monetary support is awarded to deserving scholars at local colleges reaching over $13,000 and counting. Therefore, I, Dwayne Morrison, Mayor of the City of San Angelo, Texas, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim May 9, 2015 as Simply Texas Blues Festival Day and urge all citizens to support this committed effort. Together, we can work toward a brighter future for our great city. And I'll give that to you, Clay, and give you the microphone.
Well, we'd like to say thank you very much. I'm very proud to be associated with this organization. As I said, we've given away, as this list, over $13,000 in college scholarships, and that's all to help these kids in college to pursue their careers. Most of them are in music, and we also are very proud to say that we continue to help the genre of blues music continue on to future generations. And we're so very proud to present an awesome show to the community, and our show has progressed so well. We have people, as we mentioned earlier, from all over the United States that call and ask about our show, and the best thing about it is it's a great entertainment and the cost is free. We just ask people to bring a lawn chair. That's all you have to bring. Again, thank you very much.
Let's get a picture, Clay. Where you want us, boss? Come on over here, Russ.
Happens all the time.
Every time.
Velcro.
Thank you. Put on Purple Day will be accepted by Angelica Garza of the Lupus Foundation of America. Are you here, ma'am? Well, we'll just read it and get it to her later. Put on Purple Day. The Lupus Foundation of America, Lone Star Chapter, and thousands of people nationwide will join together for Put on Purple Day on Friday, May 15, 2015, in support of those who are affected by lupus. Lupus is one of the cruelest, most mysterious diseases on earth, an unpredictable and misunderstood anti-immune disease that ravages different parts of the body. It is difficult to diagnose, hard to live with, and a challenge to treat. In short, a cruel mystery. Lupus is more pervasive and more severe than people think and has an impact that the public doesn't realize. Help us solve this cruel mystery of lupus by raising public awareness of this unpredictable and misunderstood disease and rallying support for those who suffer from its brutal impact. We can't do it alone. We need your support. And the Lupus Foundation of America Lone Star Chapter is part of a national force devoted to solving the cruel mystery of lupus while providing caring support to those who suffer from its brutal impact. They work with local health professionals and volunteers to provide information and programs to ensure that people with lupus and their families get answers and health professionals know about new means to diagnose and manage the disease. With the help of informed volunteers and committed supporters that conduct activities to increase awareness of lupus, they rally support for those who are affected by lupus and advocate on their behalf, and they raise money to support research and education programs so that everyone affected by lupus can have an improved quality of life. Therefore, I, Dwayne Morrison, Mayor of the City of San Angelo, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim May 15, 215 as Put on Purple Day on Friday in San Angelo, Texas, and encourage everyone to help raise awareness and rally public support to help solve the cruel mystery of lupus, and proudly wear perfect. And of course, probably all of us have known people that have been affected by this terrible disease, so it's quite an honor to read this and to ask for the support and declare a day in San Angelo, Texas. The next one we have is National Tourism Week. Come forward, Pamela Miller. Good morning.
Good morning.
And how are you?
I'm good.
Good. The week of May 2 through May 10, 2015 is National Tourism Week. Tourism Week is an annual tradition that was established by congressional resolution in 1983 and was celebrated the following year. Tourism generated $253.3 million in total direct travel spending in San Angelo in 2013 and generated 3,294 San Angelo jobs. The theme for Tourism Week this year is Travel Is a supplier of 1.1 million jobs in Texas, a $67.5 billion industry in Texas, essential to our economy and our lives, more than just fun, adventure, and family memories. Therefore, I, Dwayne Morrison, the Mayor of the City of San Angelo, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim the week of May 2 through May 10, 2015 as National Tourism Week, and Pamela Miller will now accept and give us a short speech.
Thank you so
Pamela.
much. Thank you. This is the 32nd year for National Tourism Week, and I'd like to pass on that the Governor's Office Research on Tourism points out that each household here in San Angelo would have to pay an additional $900 a year in taxes if it were not for tourism in your community. We are thrilled to celebrate Tourism Week next week after our chamber luncheon at the new Pearl of the Concho Hotel. With Day Tripper TV show, Chet Garner will be here for a free seminar. We would like to invite everybody to come out at 1:30 that day. Again, it is free, but we just need to have an RSVP. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pamela. Let's get a picture. Thank you, Ben. Tourism brings in a lot of dollars. The next one is the San Angelo Health Foundation 20th Anniversary Celebration Day. To be accepted by the San Angelo Health Foundation, y'all please step forward. Good morning and welcome. The San Angelo Health Foundation was formed in 1996 with $44 million from the sale of Angelo Community Hospital. The majority of foundation funds have benefited health, education, and human services organizations which contribute to a healthy community. Other foundation initiatives include the construction of the San Angelo Visitor Center and founding a local community foundation in the San Angelo Area Foundation. A healthy community can better provide opportunities for success and a good quality of life for all. And it has been the mission of the San Angelo Health Foundation for the past 20 years to enhance the community health and thereby the quality of life for the people of San Angelo and the Concho Valley. Hundreds of nonprofit organizations, public entities through the past 20 years have benefited through the philanthropy of the San Angelo Health Foundation, each benefiting as an organization which in turn benefited the people they serve. To date, the San Angelo Health Foundation's efforts and contributions of more than $44 million over the past 20 years has dramatically and positively improved the community's health through investment in organizations and people. Through the continued support of the San Angelo Health Foundation, a bright future that includes the promise of a healthy community and the dreams and goals of our people will certainly be realized. Therefore, I, Dwayne Morrison, the Mayor of the great city of San Angelo, Texas, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim May 14, 2015 as San Angelo Health Foundation 20th Anniversary Celebration Day. Mr. Early.
Thank you.
You have the microphone, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Over the past 20 years, we've been fortunate enough. I see a lot of people out there in the audience that we've partnered with. We've given out over almost $45 million to 575 grants to 197 organizations. And we exist to improve the quality of life for the people of San Angelo and the Concho Valley. I might also add, Mayor, that the second largest recipient of grants is the city of San Angelo. We've partnered on 20 different projects, and we've been able to give the city about $2.8 million over the years. So y'all come out. We're going to have a little celebration at the Tom Green County Library next Thursday, May 14th from 4 to 6, and everybody's welcome. Thank you.
Judge, you and Mike want to say anything?
I'm gonna leave the mic for you.
Mike?
No, it's not this time.
Did you notice how I said
Thank you very much.
philanthropy?
Philanthropy.
Philanthropy.
You said it good. You did good.
Worried me
For a
for a
lady
minute,
guy,
but
you
I
did
got
great.
it.
I know.
Let's get a picture. Back here. Thank you all very much.
Hey, Mike, he was pronouncing it philanthropy. Philanthropy.
That one scared me when I saw it. Police Week. I think we have Chiefs Kevin and Robert. If y'all would, please come forward. And some more, too. We got some Sheriff's Department. Y'all come forward as well. That's all right. Good morning. Hello, Chief. Keith, how are you, sir? Hello, Chief. How are y'all this morning? Let's read this one. In 1962, President John F. Kennedy signed a proclamation which designated May 15 as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which it falls as Police Week. And the week is dedicated to pay tribute to those officers who have died in the line of duty, and the San Angelo Police Department will have a number of planned events to honor those that have made the ultimate sacrifice. The members of the law enforcement agencies of San Angelo and Tom Green County unceasingly provide vital public services and play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of San Angelo and Tom Green County. It is important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of their law enforcement agencies, and that members of our law enforcement agencies recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against opposition and intimidation. Therefore, I, Dwayne Morrison, the mayor of the city of San Angelo, Texas, on behalf of the city council, do hereby proclaim May 10 through May 16 to 15 as police work and call upon all of our citizens and organizations of San Angelo to observe this memorial occasion with appropriate ceremonies in which all of our people may join in commemorating law enforcement officers, past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to the responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities. I further call upon all citizens of San Angelo to observe May 15 to 15 as Peace Officers Memorial Day. And it gives me a great amount of pride to have our Tom Green County Sheriffs and our City of San Angelo policemen here to accept this wonderful proclamation. And y'all all get to make peace.
That's not a speech. Thank y'all. I don't have a speech. I'm not a politician, but I'll tell you what, pretty good support that we've had for the whole police department, regardless what kind of time we've been in. But our activities will start Monday. It'll be with a flag raising ceremony. We'll have a golf tournament, and we'll have a barbecue and firearms competition, and we added a police run that we're going to have. We're going to have a social picnic and economical service at a church downtown, and we'll put it out for everybody. But I just want you to know we have about 14 different police agencies in San Angelo, Texas. A lot of people don't know that, but that's a lot of agencies. And they're small, big, whatever. They are participating some way or another. And when we are in need, every one of these guys show up to help us. I mean, there's some incidents I can recall, and we had 114 officers from different agencies here, so we very much appreciate it. That's why we work hand in hand with the sheriff's office as well, and they need something, we're there. We need something, they're there for us. So we appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Let's get a picture. Mental Health Month, to be accepted by the West Texas Counseling, Guidance, and the MHMR of the Concho Valley. And if y'all would, please start coming forward, and I'll start reading this. Sam, are you coming up as well? How many of them you want up here, Roe? Mr. Rowe. Mr. Rowe. How are you this morning? Good.
Hi. How are you? Good morning, Mayor.
Well. We do have two agencies here, so let's read this and honor them both. Mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being. All Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives. Prevention is an effective way to reduce the burden of mental health conditions. There is a strong body of research that supports specific tools that all Americans can use to better handle challenges and protect their health and well-being. And mental health conditions are real and prevalent in our nation. With effective treatment, those individuals with mental health conditions can recover and lead full and productive lives. Each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizen shares the burden of mental health problems and has a responsibility to promote mental wellness and support prevention efforts. Now, therefore, I, Dwayne Morrison, Mayor of the great city of San Angelo, Texas, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2015 is Mental Health Awareness Month in San Angelo and Tom Green County. As the mayor of San Angelo, I also call upon the citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools in San Angelo and Tom Green County to recommit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental illnesses, the steps our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and the need for appropriate and accessible services to all people with mental health conditions. And I have two of these, and however many speeches we're going to make, y'all just line up. You're first.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank the City of San Angelo, of course, the Police Department. The City of San Angelo is one of the sponsoring agencies for MHMR. We appreciate your support and all you do for us. And, of course, the Police Department, you work so well with us, and the Sheriff's Department as well. We couldn't do it without you. We work very hard. I have my Children's Behavioral Health Director and my Adult Behavioral Health Director here, and they work tirelessly to assist people in the community with mental health needs as well as crisis situations. So we just thank you, and we appreciate the support. Also, we partner with West Texas Counseling and Guidance Center, and they do a lot of counseling, and Tiffany Talley is going to speak a little bit too. So I'll let you take it next.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. I wanted to let everyone know that this will be the 39th anniversary of West Texas Counseling and Guidance. We'll be celebrating with an event on May 28th. We'd love for everyone to join us. We have native Texan Rebecca Gregory, who's a Boston Marathon bombing survivor and amputee. She has an incredible message of hope and healing. And then it's a fun, casual barbecue event with Shiny Ribs, one of the hottest bands from Austin. So if you are interested, let us know. It'll be at the stables at Fort Concho on May 28th. And thank you so much for this award. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. It's been a pleasure. Sam? Good to see you. Historic Preservation Month. Dale Velasquez, are you here, sir? And Brenda Gunner, please step forward. Good morning. Always a pleasure, Ms. Gunner. The month of May is National Historic Preservation Month. The National Trust for Historic Preservation established this year's theme to read, See, Save, and Celebrate. Downtown San Angelo, Inc. has been a vital organization promoting the preservation of history, culture, and significant buildings in historic downtown San Angelo, Texas. The City of San Angelo has supported the efforts of Downtown San Angelo, Inc. in its endeavors, which have fostered economic development, preserved its history through promotional activities, and preserved the integrity of its historic structures and architectural consistency. Downtown San Angelo, Inc. has been an integral partner with the City of San Angelo in advocating tourism in the Central Business District. Downtown San Angelo, Inc. has received 2015 National Main Street Accreditation. Therefore, I, Dwayne Morrison, Mayor of the City of San Angelo, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2015 as National Historic Preservation Month in San Angelo, Texas. They'll get that. You get the microphone.
Thank you. We want to thank all of the community support that we've had in preserving our historic downtown.
We know that without our historic downtown being preserved, that we would just be one more city amongst all cities in the state of Texas as well as the country. We've been designated a distinctive destination for all the right reasons because we are a distinctive destination, and we celebrate that with our history and our legacy that goes with that. Thank you for the support of the businesses, for the support in reinvestment in downtown, which is now $90 million. With that, the support of the City Council, the city government, and COSA DC, we would still be a city downtown of destruction, and we're not today. We are a city and historic downtown of reconstruction. We thank you for that.
Dale, do you have anything to say, sir?
Sure. Little would I have imagined as a young child that I would be working to preserve the history of the buildings that I played in as a child, and them being called historic. So I thank you for your support in maintaining that history. I know that they have memories for you as well, growing up here in San Angelo. Thank you.
Well, right here. Thank y'all so much. I believe what Dale's saying is that we're all getting very mature. All right, let's have Bicycle Month to be accepted by representatives from the Metropolitan Planning Organization, San Angelo Parks and Recreation Department, the San Angelo Chamber of Commerce, and the San Angelo Independent School Districts. Welcome. The bicycle is an economical, healthy, convenient, and environmentally sound form of transportation and an excellent tool for recreation and enjoyment of San Angelo's scenic beauty. Throughout the month of May, the residents of San Angelo and its visitors will experience the joys of bicycling through educational programs, races, commuting events, charity events, or by simply getting out and going for a ride. San Angelo's road and trail systems attract bicyclists each year, providing economic, health, transportation, tourism, and scenic benefits. Creating a bicycling-friendly community has been shown to improve citizens' health, well-being, and quality of life, growing the economy of San Angelo, attractive tourism dollars, improving traffic safety, supporting student learning outcomes, and reducing pollution, congestion, and wear and tear on our streets and roads. Bike Texas, the San Angelo Metropolitan Planning Organization, the San Angelo Chamber of Commerce, the League of American Bicyclists, San Angelo Independent School District, and the City of San Angelo Parks and Recreation Department, local companies and civic groups will be promoting bicycling through the month of May 2015. These groups are also promoting bicycle tourism year-round to attract more visitors to enjoy our local restaurants, hotels, retail establishments, and cultural and scenic attractions. These groups are also promoting greater public awareness of bicycle operation and safety education in an effort to reduce collisions, injuries, fatalities, and to improve health and safety for everyone on the road. Therefore, I, Dwayne Morrison, the mayor of the great city of San Angelo, Texas, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2015 as Bicycle Month in San Angelo, Texas, and I urge all citizens to join me in this special observance. All right?
Thank you, sir.
You have the mic, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, City Council. Also, I would like to thank the other organizations that have signed on to this. We definitely want to encourage everyone to use the month of May to bicycle, but also to bicycle safely. Between 2007 and 2014, San Angelo has had over 100 bicycle accidents, 2 resulting in fatalities and more than 50 resulting in incapacitating injuries. So definitely go out there and bicycle, but do it safely, motorist and cyclist. Thank you.
Thank you, Direct. Anyone else want to speak? Let's get a picture then. Thank y'all very much. Good to see y'all. Thank you, Dorag. And the last one we have is Employee Health and Fitness Month, May 15th, to be accepted by Working on Wellness Committee and Wellness Coordinators Janet Charlesworth and Mary Solomon. Good morning. Y'all have been waiting so patiently.
Oh, well, it's all good stuff.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. Good morning. The health and wellness of every worker in San Angelo is of utmost importance, and healthy and physically active work sites can stimulate the productivity of local businesses and organizations. A lack of physical activity within San Angelo's workforce can result in reduced employee morale and productivity and increases in employee injury, illness, and absenteeism. Is that right? Absenteeism. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, most adults need at least 150 minutes of moderate physical activity each week. During this month, we reiterate the importance of exercise and physical fitness to all citizens in San Angelo, and we especially encourage employers and employees to promote a healthy and physically fit workplace. During this month, let us champion fitness to our family, friends, and colleagues. Therefore, I, Dwayne Morrison, the mayor of the great city of San Angelo, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2015 as Employee Health and Fitness Month in San Angelo, Texas. Who's going to make the speeches? You're first. Thank you.
Good morning. The City Wellness Committee is pleased to kick off its fourth Wellness Challenge amongst our city employees starting tomorrow. We'll be doing a 30-day Squat Away May challenge. So be compassionate among these city employees if they come to work gimping and limping and moaning and groaning, because they will be working their leg muscles quite a bit over the next month. But we encourage all employers in San Angelo to promote health, fitness, and wellness among their employees and lead by example, as the city has done in San Angelo by offering their employees a wellness program. Thank you.
Who else wants to speak? You, Dan? Martin? Anyone else? No one else? Let's round of applause, please. Back round to the Thank y'all so very much. We appreciate it. Wasn't that fun? I love the proclamations and recognitions, and everything that is done in the city of San Angelo just warms my heart to see all of these people, all of our citizens, and the things that they do. It is now time for our section on public comment. The council takes public comment on all items in the regular agenda. Public input on a regular agenda item will be taken at its appropriate discussion. Public input on an item not on the agenda or consent agenda may be identified and requested for consideration by the council at this time. The council may request an item to be placed on a future agenda or for a consent agenda item to be moved to the regular agenda for public comment. On public hearing items, public input will be received on each item immediately following the council discussion and prior to any action on the item. Each member of the public should make the remarks from the podium. Begin by stating their name. Remarks by each citizen will be limited to 3 to 5 minutes unless waived by a council member for all speaking on that matter, and no individual will be allowed to speak more than once on any one subject until every citizen wishing to comment has done so. And we will begin this morning with public comment from our audience. I would ask you at this time, if you have anything that you would like to address the council, if you have any announcements that you need to make, come forward to the podium, state your name, and you've got 3 minutes. Mr. Harry.
Good morning. Harry Thomas. I'm a community volunteer. Most of you know that I've worked with the Boys and Girls Club on their board, and this is my 19th year. We've got a fundraiser golf tournament coming up at the end of the month on May 30th. Quicksands Golf Course. We're still looking for sponsors, but we're also looking for players. If you're interested, it's $85. We're going to start registration at 7 that morning and kick off the golf at about 8 o'clock. Lunch is going to be provided by Twin Peaks, and we're going to have a great day. So if you need to get in touch with me, 374-5129. It's a good number. Thanks.
Thank you, Harry. Anyone else care to approach? Come forward, please, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Julia Stout, and I'm here with Chili Chandler, and we just want to invite everyone to the 7th annual celebration of the Lady in Blue, which we as citizens are trying to promote the history of the Lady in Blue, which actually she was a cloistered nun in the 1600s who appeared to the Humano Indians, the indigenous people of San Angelo, and taught them the tenets of the Christian faith, which really makes San Angelo the first Christian missionary in Texas. So we're promoting that history, and it'll be on Sunday, May 24th, and it begins at 6 p.m. at the San Angelo Christ the King Retreat Center on Ford Street. So you're all invited, and please share this with your friends and neighbors. And we thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stout.
Okay.
Do we have any other public comment? Anyone else care to speak? Mr. Anthony?
Good morning, Council. I'm Anthony Wilson, your Public Information Officer. Just wanted to make the public aware of 3 upcoming opportunities for them to engage with their municipal government. Beginning on Thursday evening at Lincoln Middle School, we'll have the first of a series of 7 town hall meetings on the new trash services that will be launching on July the 20th. This town hall meeting will be, again, Thursday evening, 6 p.m. at Lincoln Middle School. Republic Services and city officials will be there to explain how the new services will work and answer any questions that citizens may have. The next meeting after that will be at 6 p.m. on Thursday, May the 21st at Southland Baptist Church. And we're going to have one of these meetings in each of your city council districts, and then one here in the convention center that will be taping and airing on SATV. So if folks would like to learn more about the town hall meetings, they can get that information on our website at cosatx.us/calendar. Also, we have a town hall meeting scheduled for 2 weeks from today, Tuesday, May 19th at 5:30 p.m. in the evening here in the City Council chambers in the Convention Center. And this will be on some proposed changes that your Charter Review Committee is recommending. They are gathering public input because they want to hear the public's ideas on 7 proposed changes that they've come up with to the city charter. People will be able to watch that town hall meeting live on our website at cosatx.us/watch, and it will be replayed several times daily on SATV after that. But as I mentioned, there are 7 proposed changes. You can learn more about those later today on our website at cosatx.us/Charter Review Committee. And on that page, there will be an online survey that our citizens can take as well to offer their input via the internet on those proposed changes. We will also have forums on June the 1st at Lincoln Middle School and June 16th at Southland Baptist Church. So I'll probably be back before you at some point just to remind the public of those. And then lastly, on Saturday, of course, is Election Day. And just wanted to remind folks that polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at 19 different voting centers across the county. With these new voting centers, it doesn't matter where you live. You can vote at any one of these voting centers, even if it's outside the city limits. There will be only electronic voting on Election Day. Paper ballots were available only during the early voting. Voters are reminded to please bring a photo ID. And then if they want more information about where they can vote, they can go again to our website, cosatx.us/elections, and they can follow the results on Saturday night on our Facebook page. Just look for City of San Angelo Public Information, and on Twitter at City of San Angelo.
Anthony, real quick, on the charter review on the 19th, you said what time did you say?
5:30 p.m. in the evening.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Do we have further public comment? This is your opportunity to address us. Pro or con, we're ready. If there be no further comment, then I will open it up to the council. I'll start with Ms. Grimes' staff. Is there anything on the consent agenda that you wish to move to the regular agenda, or do you have any type of announcement you'd like to make, ma'am?
Thank you, Mayor. No, I don't have anything to pull from the agenda, but just to let my constituents and anyone else in the community know that my next neighborhood chat will be May 18th at Lee Middle School, and it will feature our guest, Anthony Wilson, so he can tell us everything again that's going on in the city on that date. So not to confuse everyone with all of the other meetings going on, but we'll convene again May 18th, 6 p.m. at Lee Middle School. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Varden.
I would ask the council if we can move item 13 up a little closer to the top. We have some of our peace officers out here, and I hate to have them wait on us so long, along with our tech people also.
Do I have any problems down here to moving 13 up? Any problem down here? Okay, let's move 13 then to the top of the regular agenda, and we'll discuss that first. Is that all right, Don?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Ms. Farmer, what'd you have, ma'am?
Yeah, I'd like to pull item number 3 from the consent agenda. And then I have one public comment. I was absent last council meeting. I was in Washington, D.C. at Port des Plaines Conference. I can pretty assuredly say that I think the national gas tax bill is dead. And had some good conversations with representatives out there. Did get to visit at length with representatives about Port des Plaines and its efforts, and I did bring back a handbook that explains what goals and stuff are. I've passed them out to each council member here and to staff, and if you wish one, I have extras, and Mr. Michael Reeves, president of Port des Plaines, will be in San Angelo for the County Commissioners Court meeting to address them and bring them up to date on Port des Plaines, and he'll also appear the following day for County COG, Council of Governments, to explain and talk to them and go into a little bit more discussion about the I-27 possibilities.
Good deal. And you are pulling number 3 from
Yes,
consent
please.
to a regular.
Yes,
All right,
please.
ma'am. John, do you have anything, sir?
Yes, sir, I've got a couple of things. One of them, I've already shared it with Shane Kelton, but I've had a couple of calls again, and I didn't get to make the announcement. I had to leave this meeting early last time, but we're definitely needing a protected left turn signal at Main and Pulliam, and I did share that with Shane. I just for a transparency, let the folks know that the word is out. So again, a protected left turn on the corner of the intersection of Main and Pulliam. The second one, I've had some phone calls. The river revitalization continuance, of from the Celebration Bridge east. What do we need to do? What's the next steps? And I brought this up before. So whatever needs to happen, there's people interested in, hey, let's move, keep the phase 2 or whatever phase we're on moving. So if it's a ballot item, I don't know.
Yeah, there is no funding for any further projects other than what we're working on with the Bosque area. So if that's something council wants to look at, we can certainly.
That's something I'm very much interested in moving forward on. So just an FYI, just wanted to share that. Thanks.
Marty, do you have anything, sir?
No, thank you.
Rodney.
Okay. I've asked for Velcro a couple of times. Yes, I do have a couple items. One, I know I ask for this about every 3 months, and I just never am getting the answer that I want on this. The curb cuts on water collection systems, where are we? I want an update on that, and I want it in the next meeting. I keep getting put off on this. I don't understand how I asked for this about 2 months after I was elected the first time, and it's still not done. And there are other cities throughout the whole country that have this system in place. We can copy it almost word for word. So I would like that to be, I'd like a full update on that. I want you to tell me why it's not being done. The second thing is on the police boat dock out there. We've gone through this thing, now we're about at 18 months on the police boat dock, and we need to have an update on the police boat dock. I would like at the next meeting before the summer starts and know where we're going, what we're doing, and what I need to do to push this forward. This thing is stopped somewhere, and we need to know what we got to do to get it done. Finish it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rodney. All right, we have pulled item number 3 out of the consent. There are 6 items on the consent agenda. I will entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented minus item number 3. Is that right?
That's
Just
very
item
good.
number 3.
Second.
I do have a second, Johnny, and then I have a second from Elizabeth. Do I have any further council discussion on this item? Do I have any comments from the public on this item before we vote? I will now call for the vote. All in favor of approving the consent agenda item with the exception of item number 3, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Put a 7-0 on that. Number 3 of the consent agenda is consideration of approving variances to the city code for the 7th annual Simply Texas Blues Festival on May 9, 2015. Mr. White, you are on, sir.
Carl, if you could just tell me what you think the majority of the variances will be in the downtown area. That's also election day, and there's more traffic and whatnot. Just what do you think the variances will be the most?
The key things are the closure of the streets, setting up tents on the streets, allowing the noise to continue into the night, about 11:30 p.m. And let's see. I think those are the key ones.
Okay, because last year I got phone calls about tents and vendors plugging into businesses' electricity and so forth. So that's not allowed, right?
Unless they've given permission to do so.
Unless they've given.
That's correct.
Okay.
So, if you know of anything specifically, I would try to head that off for this year.
No, the lodge.
Okay.
Okay, just, thank you. I don't want to violate their space or use their electric or their water. Okay,
And I'll touch base with them too.
thank you.
Elizabeth?
Carl, do we have provisions in the information that requires the event organizer to patch the streets if they drill into the streets to anchor tents?
Shane? I don't think they drill. I don't think we allow that anymore.
Okay, it's completely prohibited?
It's, since a few years ago, it shouldn't be done.
Not at our camp.
It is destructive to the road, so we don't.
And Shane's the one that put most of them up, so.
We will allow in certain circumstances people to drill in and anchor into the streets in certain circumstances, and we do have provisions for them to come back and patch those holes. We see more of it in parking lots than we actually do in streets. So we try to keep people from doing it in the streets if at all possible, but we do actually have a application that they can use to reseal those holes after they do drill them, if they do drill them into the streets.
And if they do that, do y'all inspect afterwards to make sure that's done?
Yes, I send my crews out to make sure that it's done and done properly.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions from council? Yes, ma'am.
Just one other question, is police presence, that's the other phone call I got during the event last year, is what kind of traffic control are we going to have? Because that was the complaint mostly is
Yes, ma'am,
traffic.
we'll have 6 police officers working that night, and we have roughly 40, 50 volunteers from Goodfellow Air Force Base that help us manage the traffic control around, the barricades and things like that, so it's taken care of.
You answered my questions, thank you.
Will you make a motion to accept?
Motion to accept as
Second.
presented.
Second.
Do I have a second?
And the mayor, you police out there also,
I
don't
police
you?
out there as
Yeah,
well.
I think you do.
Yes. Any other further council discussion on this? But I will be out there all day. This is
I
a
know.
wonderful show.
He
Do I
listens
have
more to
any?
music.
Do I have any public comment on this before we vote? Mr. Lou?
Good morning. My name is Lou Worsham, and I've been involved in this activity for 7 years. This will be our 7th, excuse me. I'd like to address whatever concern, if I could get a specific, I could help you further. But where our plans this year are to barricade off basically at the street side of the Masonic Hall or temple or whatever that building is called, so that public can use the sidewalk, which I think is proper, but not any access to what they consider their property. Whatever events brought this on happened about 3 years ago. I remind that it will be our 7th, and for 6 years we've had 0 incidents, 0 police arrests. Good time had by all. So we bring 10,000 or so people to downtown San Angelo, and I think that leads into the tourism and some other things you see. So we are a volunteer organization, and we do have a plan for traffic control, and we do have people monitoring that from about 07 until the end of the activity.
I think it's a wonderful program, and it was very enjoyable last year. Just a few little hitches in your vendors, your various vendors, not understanding that they have to provide their own water. They can't attach a water hose to a business
No, ma'am.
outlet. Yeah, but
They
it
cannot.
happened.
They
And
cannot.
also power. And
Power
also-
we provide via 2 poles, which we've installed and paid for,
The-
and also generators. There
Just-
are no
communication to the vendors, and that's it.
Not a problem, ma'am.
Okay.
I also would like to say that we do not drill holes in the sidewalks or the street. All of our vendors use weights attached to their tents. So there's no damage that we know of to the streets. Question?
Thank you, Lou. Further comment on this before we take the vote? Do have a motion to approve. I do have a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Put a 7-0 on that one, please, Brian. And now, moving to the regular agenda, and just as a note, item number 18 on the regular agenda, which deals with the First Financial Bank, we will take this into executive to discuss, and then we'll come back in regular session and vote on this. So item number 18 will be removed, placed in executive, and then will be dealt with at the end. Number 7 is presentation of the biannual. No, we're going to number 13. Yeah. We're going to number 13 next, since we have our Sheriff's Department and Police Department here. Number 13 is update and discussion on the Police Department radio system regarding compatibility with the Sheriff's Office and the volunteer fire departments. Don Vardaman, you requested this. Would you like to get us started, please, sir?
Yes, I guess my biggest question is, will those things be compatible as far, we're spending a lot of money to update our system, and I just wanted to be sure a tornado, some sort of an event happened that our law enforcement and fire volunteers along with our department can talk to each other and be able to handle it.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Council. My name is Bucky Hasty. I'm the Network Administrator for the City of San Angelo. With the migration to the new system, we're going to keep all capabilities we have now. We're going to be adding some 150 radios, which are the radios that Tom Green County uses and the Volunteer Fire Department uses. We're going to be adding those radios into the ambulances, to the front of those, so they can communicate better with those agencies. 6 fire vehicles are going to get 150 radios, which is the same capability that we have now. So coverage is also going to increase with adding the third side as well. So it's only going to get better, our interoperability.
Okay. Is there also the patch system? Can you kind of go over that a little bit? And
basically what the patch, that's the main way we communicate with other agencies. We can patch. We have the thing we call a wild card radio. It has every VFD, which is Volunteer Fire Department, and we have the 2 channels we communicate with Tom Green County Sheriff's Office on there. We can patch any channel on our system over to them and talk to them seamlessly through any radio that's handled by PD or fire, or even city worker.
Okay. Are we adding anything to our towers as far as being able to better communicate and not drop signal?
The third site is going to help quite a bit. Right now we're on what's called a multicast system, which means we have 2 towers, and when they get in between those 2 towers, the radios, you've probably experienced it when you had a radio with the city, it would actually switch towers and you lose connectivity for about 3 seconds. With this new 3-tower system, it's called simulcast, and the radio is going to be on all the time. There is never going to be hopping towers. It's going to be on all 3 towers at the same time, and that's going to be a great positive thing with the new system.
Is this still a repeater type system, or?
No, it's a full P25 simulcast system.
Okay. That's all the questions that I have.
I understood about a third of that. So if I go back to the original presentation we had on the need for upgrading the radio system, we were told that it would be fully integrated, I guess, with the county and other law enforcement agencies in our area. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
And that means we don't need the patch?
Well, the patch is part of that.
But the patch is not desirable. It's not, there's I guess, a delay in using that system.
No, the patch, they test that patch monthly. As far as I know, it works. As far as I know, it works just fine. Probably what you're referring to is going P25. P25 it's a standard-based system. Right now, the radios that we have use a system called EDAX, which you have to have a specific brand of radio to use. Once we go P25, any brand of radio can do P25. It's an open system.
So there's no delay in communicating with other agencies once we have this upgrade?
No, ma'am.
And there's no 3-second delay that
No,
existed before?
That goes away. And that's just when they get between the two towers.
Okay.
So yeah, that is going away.
Charlotte?
What was now that you're into the system and doing the upgrades, what has the final price tag been?
We are still negotiating the contract. I was given that last week. I'm going over it, but right now it's sitting at about $5.67 million.
That's not what was approved for upgrades.
We were approved for $6 million. And that does not count. I still have to add a $200,000 tower site in addition to that, so I'm sitting at about 5.87 at this point. But I'm still waiting for the contract for the tower company, and I'm still waiting to approve the contract from the radio company.
What is the company that you're going through?
With the radio system, Daily Wells, they're out of San Antonio. They're our current vendor.
I'm sorry?
Daily Wells, they're out of San Antonio. They're our current vendor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other, Don?
One other thing real quick. I know that with our volunteers that we can't force them to do anything, but I would love for us to encourage them maybe, to test their radios on our system, make sure they know how to operate those. And of course, in any volunteer system, you have a lot of turnover. So, if we could set up something quarterly, monthly, somewhere along those lines, I think that'd be of great benefit to everyone.
I think that's an excellent idea. I'll pass it on to Chief Dunn. He's around here somewhere. He does most of the coordination with them. And we actually do dispatch for VFD. Our dispatch center dispatches the volunteer fire departments as well.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Further? Yes, ma'am.
I'm with Elizabeth. I don't understand all that I need to understand, but in the radio system, the computer update, the information that is dispatched from a computer out over the radio, this system handles all computer updates and dispatches?
That's actually over the dispatch software. That's a different system than the radio system.
Okay, I just want to know that our officers out there, whenever they go to pull someone over, that if there's warrants out for that individual, that license plates, this will update. This system will allow it to continue to update and show that there's warrants in this new radio system.
The system that I'm speaking about that we're getting from Daily Wells is the voice side of that only.
Voice side only?
Yes, ma'am. The land mobile radio portion. Are y'all doing an update on the intergraph or anything like that?
I'm Sergeant Carpenter. I'm the one that's over communications right now at dispatch. I think what you're referring to is our CAD RMS system, which is our communication assisted dispatch, and then our record management system. Those two don't interact. The radios is like what Bucky Hasty said, is just the voice, how the dispatchers communicate verbally with officers and the other agencies. The CAD RMS is the mobile system that's inside the police officers' cars, the workstations within the department and so forth. So they don't communicate voice verbally through the CAD RMS like the radio system that Councilman Vardaman's asking about. So I mean, I'm just trying to understand which.
Okay, what we have now, that it does communicate, correct? I mean.
The radio system?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So, but what we're going to won't communicate. Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, we're updating the radio system and we're also updating our CAD RMS. They're two different projects.
Mayor,
So-
I think that's the critical point. Ms. Farmer is correct that there is another project out there to handle the software side. And,
Right.
And Assistant Chief Fant is, I think, the project manager for that.
Yes, sir.
I think Mr. Hasty was brought here to address radio connectivity type issues, but there is another project that we can get some information for
My
you on.
point being this 5.8 million doesn't cover the system software that is going to be needed also?
That's a separate system, and it's a $1.5 million project. It's a separate project. That it is rooted in the comm center. The radios are not the data side of it.
Okay.
They're both funded.
Any further questions from council? Y'all have any down here?
When will the CAT RMS be updated? I know that's not our agenda item, but just so that we understand, we're working on one piece but not the other. When will that?
Yes, ma'am. For my knowledge, would you like to address that, sir?
We hope to be up and running with that CAD and RMS by next year about this time.
So
Wait.
once that's in place, then we're fully integrated in the
Yes,
sense.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Any further questions? Thank you very much. We appreciate
Thanks,
y'all.
Kevin.
And do I have any questions from the public on this before we move on? It is 10:01. Let's take about 15 minutes. It is 10:25. I'm calling the meeting back to order. Number 7 on our public hearing comment is presentation of the biannual report from Downtown San Angelo, Inc. This will be done by Dale Velasquez and Brenda Gunner. Come forward, please. Good morning again.
Good morning, council members. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Wanted to first off say that business as usual in downtown. There's a lot of activity going on, and one of them is I've addressed, and Councilman Silvas is being very supportive of getting a form-based zoning ordinance set up to give us some more flexibility in downtown as to what type of businesses we can recruit into the downtown area. So I'm looking forward to continuing working with him on that, and also with Patrick Howard. And just by the way, I wanted to say that our planning director has been very accessible and flexible in terms of addressing any of the issues that we face on a day-to-day basis, and I thank Patrick for that. And we've been working on the vacant building ordinance, and then hopefully we'll have something to come up with to City Council with to address some of the vacant building issues that we have in the downtown area. The report that we turn in, as you know, based on our new contract, we'll be doing a written report every quarter, and we submitted those, and I hope you've had a chance to look at those. If you haven't, or if you have and you have some questions, please feel free to ask me at this point about any of the information that we've provided over the first and second quarter of this year.
Questions?
Compliments.
Thank you.
I love colored reports. I am Simple Simon color coordinate. Thank you.
Wish there'd been some pictures on them, though.
I'm fine with the numbers.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Gunner.
You have the statistics in your packet. What I'd like to do before I start going over some of the numbers is talk about some of the issues and opportunities and challenges that we have in the downtown area. As you know, over this past year, we've had the opportunity to sell the Roosevelt Hotel as well as the Townhouse Hotel. Both of those projects, there is work being done, although you don't see that progress yet, because as you know, with historic buildings, there's a lot of issues as it relates to architectural challenges, plumbing challenges, electrical challenges, but most important of all is financial challenges and looking for the funds to help make those projects come to life. The Townhouse Hotel architect has been hired, and she was in town this past week. She's from Oklahoma City, and she has a major background in historic buildings, so we're excited about having her on board, and they're starting to work on that project. We also say that one of the key components for helping these people get up and running is this thing that we created in downtown San Angelo, Lincoln. It's called the TIERS program. And we hope that we will continue to look at that as an opportunity to help these major projects with some financing and some opportunities to help them get kick-started, because we consider those two projects catalyst projects. Those two projects, when they're up and running, will have a dynamic impact on the downtown area more than a lot of little, small projects. And we ask that a focus be put on these major projects to help these people get up and running. Speaking of that, one of the other things that we are very concerned about is the Streetscape program, which was started some time ago. And if all of you are aware of that first block from Concho to Tuwig that was done, has been left in disarray. And it's not a very nice look to it. I think plants growing out of sand don't make us look like we are a healthy downtown. I think crumbling curbs and sidewalks don't make us look like we're a progressive, ever-changing historic downtown. And we ask that you work and support us in helping us use TIERS funds to get that first block of streetscape finished and complete with trees planted, so that people don't trip over those tree wells and fall into the hole with the green plants growing out of them. It is not a positive look for downtown, and the funding is there. We ask for support and effort in helping us get the streetscape program to be a bigger asset and not a negative to the way we look downtown. We also would like to comment on the Pearl of the Concho, the hotel that has reopened, and we couldn't be more excited about that. That had to be one of the most negative buildings that we've had in the downtown area, particularly when it was fenced and being used by vagrants, etc. Leon Burke, who is the man behind that, has worked hard to get the financing and has worked tirelessly to get that project redone. I could not be more proud of his work and effort and the fact that the doors are opening. I also would comment on that riverbank, which is on, was mentioned earlier today. They've cleared the brush and the cane from that area, which really opens up that site. I don't know if you've driven downtown and seen that building lit up, but it's a wonderful sight to see downtown. If we get rain, that riverbank's going to go right down into that empty river. But on the other hand, I think that is something that we feel strongly about. It's a very visible part of downtown right now, and something that I think everyone needs to look at and say, how can we make that look as interesting as the other riverbank projects that we have done. It's a major asset, and that hotel has changed the dynamics of that street. When you go from downtown to the convention center to the other hotel, we need it to look like it fits in with the rest of the river project, and we would ask for some consideration on that. Also, one of the key issues that we would like to talk through and put on a higher priority list is street closures. Almost everyone, when they want to do a run or do a big event, close the streets in downtown. That has such a negative impact on all of the businesses downtown, and we're no longer asked about whether we support or don't support street closures. We have constant, when that happens, we have constant parking problems because the people who come down to shop with us are the ones who get turned away. And we need to make sure that we go back and re-review what street closures require in terms of input from downtown businesses and input from where we think customers are going to park, and make sure that there's parking available for people when street closures happen, because right now the normal customers get dispersed out, and it hurts our businesses in a major way. We also would like to say that is, as typical in historic downtown areas, a constant flux in terms of what goes on in the businesses. As you know, Ben Stribling bought the Cooper Furniture business and has spent time and money to really improve the look of those buildings, and we're very proud of the result. The two-story building, which was the main interest to Cooper Furniture, has been purchased by Sassy Fox, and they will be opening that up as a focus on women's large sizes. And we're excited about that because we think that's a huge opportunity in the retail business. And we're pleased to see her expand her business. She's been a very successful entrepreneurial and a very important stabilizing force in the downtown area, and we're proud to see her expand her business and grow with that. As you know, at the same point in time, Joyce Wilde, who after being in downtown for 30 years has chosen to close her building, but she again needs to be patted on the back for sticking with downtown for many decades of less than positive trends in the downtown area, and she again was a very important stabilizing force in the downtown area. So we're sorry to lose her, but we know that we'll find someone to fill that space as well, and we thank her for all of her work and effort. The other major change that has happened in the downtown area, as you know, is Sealy Flats closed last December. But that building and those businesses have been purchased, and they've been purchased by the women who run Fifi Dubois, or Fifi's as it's better known. They will continue to run that as a hotel, and they will continue to, in fact, they had their small opening this past weekend, and so they're up and running and in business again. So we're excited to have that become a part of our, a continuing part of our downtown area. And they have been, again, great entrepreneurs in terms of adding some dimension to the downtown area. And I would say one of the most important parts of their addition to the downtown area is their desire to run a very healthy, clean, family bar business, if you will. And we continue to be challenged and ask for your support and the support of the police department to make sure that all the bars run a clean, healthy business downtown, and that we don't start to deteriorate the overall atmosphere of the bar business in the downtown area, because I think that's been an important part of our success downtown. It's been family friendly. People have not feared being on the streets. People have not feared being there late at night, and we want to keep that same atmosphere continuing as we go forward. We have sold the 135 West Tuig business, which most of you will remember was the old Harry's Food Store business, and at one point Christians in Action. It has been purchased by a gentleman who's going to develop office buildings and indoor parking in that building, so we're excited about that. And then we will look to take those proceeds from that sale and look to invest in another building downtown and see if we can't help impact the vacant building story that exists in downtown. So we're excited about that new opportunity and changing of an empty vacant building in the downtown area. Those are my comments so far. Do I have any questions or anything that you guys would like to add to those comments?
Johnny?
Yes. Brenda, no, my two things. One, I see progress being made on that twisted root.
Yes.
I always call it sister. Twisted
I always
root.
call it root beer, so.
I see that progress happening, but what's become of the angry cactus? What's happening there? Or
Well,
is
there are no
anything
building permits issued as we speak, as far as we know. I'm sure that they're still trying to work out some details, whether it's related to level, it's kind of on different levels, so I think there's some issues with that, but I know that there's still intent to do that. I just think it's a delayed project.
I'm always asked why we as a city code enforcement doesn't tag that building, because it's horrible. It's an eyesore, and so can anything be done? And I know who it belongs to, but can he splash some paint on it or something to make it look, decent at least?
Well, my husband used to challenge the owner of that building and said that he was embarrassed that he was a leading citizen and was one of the ugliest corners in downtown San Angelo, Inc., and it continues to still be that. But we hope that progress will continue. I think Dale wants to add something.
And again, I'm always asked that question about it, so I'm just being the voice.
Yeah, I think the biggest part on the angry cactus is the financing aspect of it and trying to get that done. But really, part of the initiative of getting a vacant and underutilized building ordinance that covers exactly what you're asking for, Johnny, is going to be part of that policy that we're going to be introducing to you all of you down the road. So
okay,
we'll be able to do something about it.
It's a political, very touchy subject about vacant buildings and ordinances with it, but we believe it's an important issue, and it's one we've taken on and challenging some of the issues that go with that. But that intersection is such an important intersection into our downtown area, whether you're going north on Chabard or east on Concho. It doesn't give you the greatest sense of this is a healthy downtown, and then you add that really ugly-looking streetscape program as it's been left, and it really doesn't shine the brightest light on the progress that has been made.
Rodney?
Brenda, you had said earlier the funding is there for the streetscape program to finish that between Tuig and Beauregard right there?
Actually, what needs to first happen is to finish it from Concho to Tuig.
Okay.
That number one, and then number two, to continue the project from Tuig to Beauregard, which was the intent. And I'm not sure that the funding is in total for all of that, but I think if we could just start and finish the first block and use that as a roadmap for what it can look like and learn more from that. I know at one point there was great concern that whoever put the bid out, or the bid was received, did not include in that bid the money to redo the curbs and the sidewalk. But the problem is, if you don't do the curbs, that streetscape program just falls apart because you got the red brick up against it. It's a real challenge, and we need to get it right, because leaving it like it is right now is not good.
And to add to what Brenda said, one of the discussions that council had during our work session, one of the items was looking at a variety of projects. One of those was a master streetscape development plan for downtown, for the entire downtown area, and coming up with those specifics. So those are some challenges we're going to need to work through as we look at, you know, what exists and what was put in, but at the end of the day, what we want as an overall master plan. There were some initial concepts that were developed, which the planning staff is starting to look at as far as how those initial conceptual items can be brought in and incorporated into developing an overall master plan, which of course would come back to the various groups and ultimately to council. So we'll be looking at that on a planning standpoint as well.
As you know, we did have a streetscape program approved by council. The design was approved, and that design went from Concho Avenue all the way up Chadbourn to Beauregard. And then the program, the northern tiers, covered down to, I think, 3rd Street, and there was that sort of hiccup miss in between there. But you know, we have approved a streetscape program, and the reason the streetscape program wasn't totally approved throughout the entire downtown area was because the tiers money only covers that Chadbourn street. It doesn't go left and right of that. That's the tiers district. But in addition to that, one of the key things, if you look at many cities across the country when they've had limited funds, one of the first things that they spend money on is lighting. Because you put in historic gas lighting or the look of historic gas lighting, it totally changes the look of history. It gives it a sense of a historic district. And so if you're looking at limited funds, I would suggest that maybe one of the first priorities is historic gas lighting. It would change the whole look. Even if you can't afford to do everything, it would have an impact.
Don? Well, my question is, why was the area not completed? Did they run out of money? Was there not enough money approved to begin with, or what happened there?
Yeah, come on.
Okay. Good morning, Patrick Howard, Planning Director. The funds that were used for the streetscaping that you see today was a combination of tax increment financing in addition to what's referred to as a New Freedom Grant that's administered by the state. So essentially the TIRS board at the time decided to look at certain key blocks. I think they wanted to stretch the dollars and impact more of the streets. So some of the standards were probably relaxed. I wouldn't say probably, they were relaxed in order to see more of the area impacted. However, I think as Mr. Weiss alluded to, one of the things what we like to do as a staff is to look at a standard that would be applied across the board no matter what the source of the funds are, and no matter what, if it's within the tax increment reinvestment zone or not, if it's within the downtown proper, we'll have a common standard and we'll follow that standard throughout. So that's something that we obviously need to work on collectively as a city and with our partners to come up with a standard that all feel good about and we feel like it represents downtown as it should. And so that's essentially what has happened, that source of funds was used for that purpose. Those funds aren't always available. In fact, right now they're not. And so we have to look at ways in terms of how we would move forward with funding other areas. But we do need to develop standards that are consistent and not necessarily driven by the funding source. And that's essentially what happened in the past.
Well,
it was driven by the funding.
all of that is well and good, but you're closing the gate after the cow's out. We have a problem down there that needs to be addressed. It needs to be fixed. Let's fix it. Let's figure out a way to do that and address that before you go on to look at other standards for other areas.
I don't disagree with that. I think that what we're saying is that there are things that may go on if you're talking about the drainage issue per se, or are you talking about more of the aesthetic problem?
The aesthetic stuff that they're talking about.
True, and funds need to be available. Right now, there's no identified funding. As I was suggesting, there were funds available within the tiers in the south area, which is a downtown, in addition to coupled with these grant funds. So we do need to look at a strategy to address the issue more holistically, as opposed to just being reactive to a situation that we have in the past.
And I would add to that, I think, and we'll have to look, I think there were dollars identified for, like Brenda's talking about, specific plantings in those little plant areas. Part of that came into play with the drought and everything that was going on as far as what was going to be planted or not planted. So there may be some dollars still remaining for that specific purpose, which could be a temporary, as I see it, a temporary fix to addressing those items. We will still need to address the master plan for everything In some areas, you know, we may start over. You know, most cities tear out everything to do it effectively. You redo the streets, you redo the sidewalks, you do it all. You don't just piecemeal little places. But as Patrick and everyone was saying, those were driven by the dollars at hand. But we can, I think, look at fixing those little aesthetic things for a temporary fix while we're developing this overall master plan.
And I don't want to feel like I'm throwing cold water on it, because I'm not. But, you know, once again, when you have a problem, one of the things that's aggravating is you recognize the problem and then you do 14 other things and never really address the problem at hand.
I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that we can do those, which I agree with, because the other will take time. But over time, it may mean that some of these things are redone. Once we develop the master plan, then you may be tearing out and redoing. But we need it to look nice in the meantime.
Absolutely.
Elizabeth?
Well, I'm not sure anything else needs to be said, but, you know, I'll do it anyway. I agree with what Rick and Patrick have said. You know, let's say, just using Mr. Stribling as an example, since you named him specifically, the streetscape master plan should not have anything to do with where the funding is from. It should be the template for anyone to use who is doing reconstruction or significant rehabilitation. If we had the plan and we were following the plan in totality, Mr. Stribling could be someone who would come and say, Patrick, I'd like to redo the sidewalk. There's been a lot of utility work in my area, and while I'm doing this facade, why don't I just do this 100 feet of sidewalk? We hand him the template and say, go forth. As long as you do it within these parameters, use these materials, this design, you know, it should never have been driven by the availability of funds, because all we did was water it down and ruin it. And I'm sorry that happened. So I hope that we're able to identify another funding source that can repair this, and then we move on with something that's not modified for some one person's pleasure, but we follow a straight course.
Any other comment? John?
I have one last one. And I totally agree with what Elizabeth just said, but then what do you tell the folk out there that say, you know, we've been led to believe that all these sales tax revenues has been going up, so where is the TIERS funding? What is the balance? Why have we stopped this project from moving forward? You know, it seems to be at a standstill. I see what you're saying, and it does look like, wow, you know, that's all we get. But, you know, and I'm just playing the devil's advocate. What do you tell the person out there and say, hey, well, all this money that's coming in, I'm looking at this chart, you know, and the sales and retail that have gone up, and so why hasn't the fund gone up? And I'm not saying totally rely on the TIERS funding. That's a great idea, what you just said. But, you know, what do you tell the people out there that
Johnny,
are asking
can I
that?
tell you something?
Yes.
When I worked for the city of Abilene over 10 years ago, our downtown streetscape improvements, and Rick Wise came to visit and look at them, were $1 million a block. And that was over 10 years ago. And Fred may remember AEP or West Texas Utilities' participation in that, and that probably doesn't reflect all of the contributions that even the utility company was able to make back then. So to do something really high style can be extremely expensive, and then when you think of what the revenue for that fund is, you can eat it up immediately by certain projects.
You know, I think our biggest focus right now is we started a project and it looks like a mess and it's not enhancing our downtown. And so I certainly believe we need a master plan, long-term strategy, but we did have a streetscape program in place that was approved by the council. And that was what was attempted to be executed, although it was picked apart so you couldn't recognize the plan. But all I say to you now is I got a block that looks awful, and the businesses are complaining about it. They concern it a hazard because people trip on those wells. The electrical sockets that come up out of there for the uplighting can be tripped over if you're not watching your feet on the ground. It's not only is it not pleasant to look at, it's a real concern in terms of the safety of that first block. And all I say is, I love the idea of developing a plan long-term down the road, et cetera, and looking for funding sources for it. I think that is a great overall concept. Meanwhile, I think I got a block that needs some attention pretty quick.
And Johnny, to answer your question, I think that fund has performed fairly well. The Tiers Board, though, makes recommendations on how to utilize those dollars. One of their main focuses is on facade programs and so forth. Of course, the majority of the streetscape dollars came from grant opportunities that we leveraged our Tiers funds with. Those grant opportunities right now don't exist, so they're not leveraging additional dollars. The bulk of those dollars came from grants, but they are, I think they've made some decisions just the other day on increasing the amount of money that can be used for facade implementations, and they're focusing a lot on that area. So that's just kind of a touch, and Patrice can give you more on that if you need it.
Can we move on? We've pretty well worked this one over. If
Thank
you
you.
would continue, ma'am.
Thank you. Dale, did you want to add anything? Okay. With those conversations, that's really the highlight of things that I would just like to bring to your attention in terms of things that the numbers don't necessarily speak loudly about. And certainly the numbers were proud. Your first sheet you have is the combined quarterly retail and mixed beverage tax report. And I'll really focus on this chart. The backup for all of this information follows this spreadsheet, and you can go back through it in more detail. But most importantly, through the fourth quarter, you would see that the city picked up 2.44% when you combine the sales tax and the alcohol tax, where our CBD, or the Central Business District, which is a 16-block district, picked up 4%, and most importantly, the Main Street picked up 9.23%. What's really interesting and we're proud of is the fact that we have started to once again increase the percent to the total relative to the city, both in the CBD as well as in the Main Street District, so that the CBD in the fourth quarter picked up and represented 4.02% to the total city and 8.9% in the Main Street District. So where we went through a tough couple of quarters based off of some new businesses that were launched outside of downtown, we seem to be coming back on that. And most importantly, as you go back into the spreadsheets, you will see that the sales tax itself has continued to grow, which we were struggling with some of the sales tax things because retail business overall nationally has been soft. Most retail businesses have struggled with the onset of the importance of the web. Many of our retail businesses downtown don't have a strong web business. That's not how they do their business, so they count on walk-in traffic. And I would say that I have noticed a big change this first quarter in terms of the number of tourism persons that we're seeing in the downtown area compared to this time last year. We're starting to see a lot of the Europeans come back again, and I think, again, that's because of the hotel rates coming down, as well as vacancies and the opportunity to book hotel rooms. Our retail business was dramatically impacted by lack of tourism, and we think that's going to start to support these businesses to a larger extent because they can afford the room rates and they can actually get a room, which is even more important. Do I have any questions?
Further questions for Brenda? Do I have any public comment on this item before we move on? Very good report. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Let's move on now to number 8, which is presentation of the quarterly report from the Chamber of Commerce, Economic Development Council, and the Conventions and Visitors Bureau. Mr. Looney, you are on, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, Council. I'm going to try to keep this as brief as possible. Respect that we have limited time here, so just to kind of do the overview, let me go ahead and get that PowerPoint up here. All right. Going to start off. You should have a written report in your packets that goes into great detail about a lot of the different projects and initiatives that we've been working on. If you have any questions about that, feel free just to go ahead and ask them now. We can certainly address those. What we're basically doing, thank you very much, sir. Just kind of start off with what recruitment activities we've been engaged in. One of the newest additions to our city's economy is the addition of a company called Texas Energy Aggregation. which is a commercial energy brokerage firm. They are new to town. They were looking at another city in our region, and we worked very hard, very diligently with all of our team players, all of our teammates, to bring them into the city. They've currently hired 6 people. Their goal is to hire another 4 sometime in the next quarter. Sunbelt Commercial Construction, another company that we brought in from El Paso. We're currently working also with a high-end clothing company, a food processing company, and an alloy machining company. And this is all through outreach efforts. And that also includes efforts that we're using in combination with our workforce partners and with our COSA DC partners. On the BREP side of things, business retention and expansion, currently talking to a local alloy fabrication company that is interested in growing, an outdoor clothing gear manufacturing company, and kind of the biggest news is the Frontier Communications, which is the company that is looking at purchasing the Verizon landline business. And we have been outreaching to them. We sent them a presentation. We have talked to some of their leadership and to Verizon leadership on ways that we can prevent, or rather probably more appropriately promote them keeping the facility operational and even growing it, because we're really not sure exactly what their intentions are going to be. So that's something that's been of concern to us. We want to make sure that Frontier knows that we're out in front of them. We want to make sure that they know that they're welcome and that we are here to work with them closely in partnership. A lot of trade show activities have been going on. I went to the Hustex Manufacturing and Fabrication Trade Show, met with several companies with a strong interest in the San Angelo market. They like the fact that we've got facilities and the fact that we've got a very well-trained workforce. Parlayed that with the West Texas Training Center, and have also done print and online advertising the last quarter, which did result in outreach from 2 different cities. Right now, working on designing a branding campaign to promote San Angelo's manufacturing and fabrication sector. That's a very, very powerful sector here in our city. The idea being to play to our strengths. And we have a wide variety of different types of sectors within our economy, but one of the main ones that I've focused on is manufacturing and fabrication. And we've had a lot of success with that last quarter. One of the objectives that we have is to explore relaunching the San Angelo Manufacturers Association and branding San Angelo as a center of excellence for fabrication, manufacturing, and training. And this was partially inspired by a meeting that I had in Houston in February with the president of the American Welding Society, who also works with a company called Pinnacle Alloys. Mr. Burks was very encouraging of us exploring relaunching our SAMA and using the same SAMA model that they use in San Antonio. San Antonio has, of course, the San Antonio Manufacturers Association, which has served very, very well to bring a lot of industrial type and fabrication, primary jobs creation companies to San Antonio, and I believe it will work very effectively here as well. And I've met with several of our fabrication and manufacturing companies, and they are behind the idea. Again, some of the grabs from our website. We have not launched the Manufacturers Association website. We are still exploring that, but we think that it's probably a pretty good idea. And this is the prototype for the fab site. The business park update. We are presently right now working with our company that we have engaged to create the final website. We've received all of our materials from McCallum Sweeney via KSA Engineering, and we are presently on the way to looking for our prototype to be sent to us for review. And this will be a fully interactive site. It'll look similar thought I had a screen grab of the site, but I don't think I put it on here. I did not. But it'll be a fully interactive site. It's going to not just highlight the park itself, but it's going to highlight the different industries and the different industrial sectors that we've got available. So what we're just basically trying to do is continue the effort to tell the world that we are a center of excellence. We've got capacity in workforce, facilities, and we also have an openness to new companies coming to town and a strong support mechanism for our existing industries. So that's basically the overview of the last quarter's activities. I don't know how brief I was. Any questions?
Questions, Council?
I've got one.
Yes, sir.
Michael, on that recruitment trade show, you talked about you met with several fabrication companies. Pursuing next steps, what does that mean? Are they interested? How many are we talking about?
There are 3 of them. And I'm right now in the process of talking to them about facilities. One of the main things that I've been really encouraged by is that, and I really grabbed a lot of this information from my Houston trip and my meeting with the different companies at Hustex, is that they said if you know, San Angelo is known as a major fabricating company, or at least it used to be a major fabrication city, rather. And Hirschfeld is obviously one of our big anchor companies. There are a lot of offshoot companies. And it was put forth that if you've got the facilities and you've got the workforce and you've got the available training, these companies don't care where their components are fabricated. They really don't have too much of an issue if they're made in Seattle or if they're made in Houston or if they're made in San Angelo, just as long as they're made and they're made right. And what we're also beginning to feel the effects of is what's called reshoring, where a lot of these companies that would like to have components made quickly and in the United States, they are pulling back a lot of their fabrication that was done overseas. They want it back in the United States for a variety of different reasons, and probably one of which is the fact that you've got logistics problems that continue to plague a lot of our ports, especially on the West Coast. And so that was a big issue when I was down there. So you're going to read a lot more about reshoring. You're going to see a blog site that I'm about ready to deploy that has a lot of articles about that to kind of educate and understand not just what companies are we talking to or what companies are we currently supporting that are here, but creating an energy and creating more of an overall global brand for the city so that we have a variety of different services and energies that we offer to companies that are out there, and bringing in and attracting more talent, more fabrication and manufacturers, and more talent in that sector. That doesn't mean we're not focusing on the other sectors, but that's the one that we're focusing on presently. I don't know.
Further questions?
Johnny?
No, they
Very
didn't
good.
answer my question. Just in 1 minute, just tell me, what's the timeline you're pursuing? When are they coming? When are you talking?
Well,
is it pretty quick, within the month? Or?
It's probably going to be within this quarter, and
then you'll
probably
give us
the next quarter.
an update on.
Yeah, and I'll be able to tell you
That's
more
all I
detail.
wanted.
I'm sorry, Johnny. Thank you very much. I'll be able to tell you who, maybe not necessarily who they are, but what they do and how many employers they would be bringing in. Very
Thank you,
good.
Mr. Lenny.
Thank you very much, sir.
Pamela?
Maybe.
Good job. If you could find mine here.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
While we're waiting, Fred is still out there. Do you have some money for streetscape?
Street lights? I didn't say that, Fred. He did.
Smile means yes.
Back in the old days, they were pretty generous.
You mean we're no longer in the old days, huh?
Yeah. I don't know. Fred's a pretty generous guy.
That's it. That's it.
Yes, sir.
How many people does it take to
get a PowerPoint. Thank you. I'm here to give the report for the first quarter of 2015. We assisted with 11 conventions, meetings, sporting events, or motor coach tours. Projected attendance was 20,477, 1,425 room nights. Average length of days spent was 3. Total economic impact, $3,301,368. I wanted to point out that we got a call from ASU towards the end of last year that they really wanted to bring an event to San Angelo in February. It was the Kennedy Center theatrical competition. And we've always had that before, but on a much smaller level. Taking that this year would add 1,000 people during a week of rodeo. And they really wanted to do it, but Kennedy Center would not allow the date to change. So we said, let's see what we can do. We've got new hotel rooms out there. We did take that piece of business. We found plenty of hotel rooms for it. We're currently putting together room reservations for them for next year. They're coming back. I point that out because a year ago, we would not have been able to do that here in San Angelo during rodeo. During the first quarter, we had 1,310 out-of-town visitors, and our top visitation, you can see on the left, are the top 5 cities: Abilene, Midland, Houston, San Antonio, and Austin. And the right side continues our top 10. We had advertising pretty much in all areas. In print, we had all of our normal Texas publications that I talked to you about, our Texas Highways, Texas Monthly, et cetera, events guides, those type of things. But we also had the Convention South magazine and Sports Destination Management. We did not have new billboard this quarter, but what happened is January came along and a lot of those billboards we had for holiday did not sell. So we got some extended time on several of our billboards. Online, we have the video on the websites, and that is targeting families who have interest in travel, history, entertainment, and eating out. We continued with Tour Texas, and we added a video capability to our ad. And our Facebook was also expanded. Our Facebook advertising is doing very well for us. We are now getting a report weekly that tells us when we spike. And so we can tell exactly what ad we put out there that made such a jump. For instance, just recently, we had an ad for Cirque de la Symphonie, and it made a huge jump in our Facebook advertising. On television, on March 30th, so at the very end of the quarter, we started a new cable program to try to start drumming up more business. On the cable channels, we'll be on the Cooking Channel, History, Lifetime, Oxygen, We, Lifetime, ESPN News, and Fox News. That started in March 30th. We're committed now through the end of the year. There will be different little videos running throughout. In April, we targeted arts in San Angelo because we have so many different art things going on. April is Arts Month. It'll be running 268 times a week and 38 times a day. We had a new website launch in March at visitsanangelo.org. We now have RFPs to the planners for both their conference and meeting business and their sports business. They fill out a form, tell us exactly what they're looking for, and emails it off to us. You can download our brochure. You can watch 2 different videos. One is our image video. The other is our new sports video. You can also subscribe online to get on a list to get further emails from us on a quarterly basis. And our new email blast went out in March for the first quarter with 7,383 addresses that have asked for further information. I've given you samples of a couple of our ads here. Here's what we ran during rodeo with Time for Roping and Riding in San Angelo. The next one is Best of Summer. You're probably thinking first quarter, Best of Summer. Believe it or not, on a lot of our, especially Texas publications, the summer edition starts hitting in March. Wildlife, nightlife, and still life. That's the ad that we did for the arts, celebrating April as Arts Month in San Angelo. And then the final one here is whatever your sport, come play it in San Angelo. Shows that we attended included the Your Military Reunion Network, that was in Reno, the McAllen Winter Texas Travel Show, that taps into all the snowbirds that are living south for the wintertime. Houston Home and Vacation Show and Fort Worth Home and Vacation Show. We did both of those with the Forts Trail. The American Bus Association Trade Show. Converge on the Capitol, which is our legislative effort. About 1,000 participants from Texas Lodging and CVBs converge on the Capitol on the same morning. And then we did sales calls to associations in Austin. Our top out-of-state markets, here they are: New Mexico #1, Ohio, Washington, Wisconsin, Florida, Minnesota. Notice all the snowbirds in that list. Our top international was Canada, followed by UK, France, Germany, Mexico, and Jamaica got in there this year. We had media sites and assists for True West magazine. That was a story on the Buffalo Soldiers. Senior Citizen Travel. It was Sunday Coffee with Jeb, talking about a great West Texas destination. AAA Texas, another story about Buffalo Soldiers. Texas Highways, if you didn't see it, you need to. The April edition, which hit March 15th, of Texas Highways, has a wonderful 4-page story about our unique Concho pearls. Lone Star Literary Life, we were given a title of a top 10 literary towns, a bookish destination. We were a featured story in Reunion Friendly Network magazine. That's a military reunion piece. And datingadvice.com, we were a best small city for single millennial women. Our year-to-date occupancy is down 23.8% at 53.3%, and our demand is down 17.4%. We subscribe to an additional report on our Smith Travel Report that tells us basically how many rooms last year versus how many rooms this year. So we're not looking at that equation on just the occupancy with added rooms. So that proves that we are down 17.4%. And we knew that was coming. We weren't able to bid on a lot of business when those rates were high. We weren't getting convention bids for 15. A lot of the oil and gas has slowed down or found other housing or permanent housing. The average daily rate is down. That's a good thing. We're down 11.7%, and that rate is $99.80. We had a ribbon cutting for the Candlewood Suites in January. That brought us to 2,161 hotel rooms. And here's what's coming up. In May, Pearl of the Conchos will be opening, 165 rooms. They do have a partial open now, but as you heard, we're doing our chamber luncheon there next week, which we hope to get everything else opened. Home 2 Suites, that's a new concept for many of you. You may not have seen that hotel before. It's a lot like a Homewood Suites. That is not a typo. The 2 does go right by the word home. And Courtyard opening in May. July will be the Residence Inn. August, Wingate by Wyndham, and that'll give us a total inventory of 2,695 hotel rooms. Any questions that I can answer?
Council?
I have one.
Go ahead, John.
Pamela, on the average daily rate, was it $99?
$99.
How do you come up with that?
It's Smith Travel Report comes up with that. We subscribe to their service. And they take that from all of the hotels that report, and they come up with what that average rate is. For those hotels that don't report, and in our case, it's a lot of the smaller motels around town, they estimate theirs by what everybody else's is. Okay. So pretty much the average of everybody.
We bring a lot of folk in, so that's good to know that that rate's going down.
It's gone down immensely, especially when we're looking at our group rates. We dropped from 189 to we're seeing anything from 99 to 129 again for group business.
And my second and final question is, where do you grab that amount, that $3.3 million impact? Where does that?
It comes to us from the Governor's Office of Research of Tourism, and they every year do a report. Shiflet is the company that does it for them. And it comes up, they call people on the phone and say, did you stay in San Angelo? They survey them, they find out what they spent, and by that sampling, they figure out what the number is that we use for San Angelo. And so then we multiply that by our out-of-town visitation. That's just the out-of-town people. And that's our average figure. And again, that figure is just staying in a hotel, eating, and their gas. No retail is in that component, and no multiplier at all.
And that's for the first quarter only?
The figures I gave you today, yeah, are for the first.
Wow.
But it'll be the same for us for a year until the governor's office gives us a new figure to use.
Oh, those two questions. I'm sorry. I threw in an extra question. I didn't mean to do that.
Oh, that's
So,
okay.
But those are good figures. Thank you, ma'am.
And I did just want to add one thing. We hit on it a little bit earlier, and I've said this before, but we would sure love to get that consultant here that did the wayfinding program for us, to have them show you the program that we came up with for San Angelo. We also continually get complaints that we have bad wayfinding signages, and where are our welcome signs? So we'd love to have them here for you.
Thank you, Pamela. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions? Johnny, you have any more questions, Johnny?
I'm not allowed to answer.
Okay. Johnny's out of
You
questions.
can email me whatever you need.
Do I have any public questions for Pamela? Thank you very much,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Let us move on now to number 9, which is the second public hearing for public comments for and against the annexation to San Angelo city limits of certain properties situated immediately west of San Angelo, generally located on the northwest corner of Arden Road, FM Highway 2288, specifically described as approximately 44.821 acres of land out of the BS&F Survey 5, Abstract Number 101, and ABNM Survey 3, Abstract Number 24, Tom Green County, Texas, and said 48.821 acre tract, also being out of the certain 9.7.9 acre tract described and recorded in instrument number 703583, official public records of Tom Green County, Texas, and said 44.821 acre tract, being more particularly described as by meets and bounds in Tom Green County, Texas. Ms. Guerra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Rebecca Guerra, Planning Manager. This is the second public comment hearing for the Arden Road annexation. As you alluded earlier, it's a little over 44 acres, located north of Arden Road and west of FM 2288. It is in the ETJ, but if annexed, will likely be included in single-member district number 6, Council Member Farmers District. Future land use of this site, if annexed, or currently, and if annexed, will be commercial and neighborhood. As you can see, there is no zoning on the site, but if brought into the city, will receive a ranch and estate zoning district designation. This is a copy of the major thoroughfare plan. All of these maps are located in your staff report. Again, the light blue dashed lines indicate minor collectors. The purples are arterials. This is a copy of the utilities map. Notifications were sent out, consistent with the Texas Local Government Code. Also, a publication was printed on April the 20th for the second public comment hearing. There is no action required today. However, the first reading of the annexation ordinance public hearing is scheduled for May 19th. This concludes staff's presentation. We're available for any questions you may have.
This is the second public hearing, so if there is anyone in the audience that would wish to comment on this annexation, this is your opportunity so that we can fulfill state law. Step to the front. There is no public comment, therefore we have concluded this act, so the action that's necessary on this
Is none.
is done.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
So, we can move on.
Yes, sir.
I
Let's
would
move
still
on.
like to comment, Mayor.
Pardon me?
I would still like to
Oh,
comment.
okay, I'm sorry.
And now, I want Don to have the ability to comment as well, since this may be his last meeting for a very long time. I still think that it would be in the best interest of the city if this parcel of land was more contiguous to the body of the city limits rather than removed by, I can't guess what distance that is. So I'll continue to state my concern so the proponent is not surprised at the May 19th meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Don.
Well, and along with that, of course, one of my concerns is always water, and as well as city services to these areas. it just, I don't know, it doesn't seem to fit the way that it just is toenailed in there.
Further comments?
Just wanted to make one comment to make
Yes.
sure that everyone knew, consistent with comments that came from Councilmember Farmer as well as Councilmember Grindstaff, we are looking at the overall annexation plan. We are conducting an annexation study. We have actually something produced that we are going through our department right now. And so I want to let you know that we are looking at a comprehensive look at all of the annexation, all of the annexation plan that currently exists, reevaluating how it exists at a 3.5 mile distance as well as at a 5 mile distance. Should this council ever decide that we have triggered the 100,000 population threshold. So I wanted to bring that to your attention, and we are focusing, in fact, on particular areas where we are seeing increased growth.
So did you show us before the annexation map for this area, the annexation plan, the current annexation
It
plan?
is it is found in your staff reports, but I'll be happy to include it in the next PowerPoint
Okay,
as
we'll
well.
see it.
Yes, ma'am.
Any further comment from the public or the council? Then we have satisfied the state reg.
Sir, yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on then, number 10, which is consideration of the adoption of a resolution of the City Council of San Angelo, Texas, authorizing a waiver of the application fees for rezoning the Fairmount Cemetery and finding a public benefit therefore. Ms. Garrett.
Again, Rebecca Guerra, Planning Manager. This is a fee waiver request for the Fairmount Cemetery rezoning application. It is approximately 57 acres. It's located on the south side of Avenue N between Jackson Street and Austin Street. It is located in Single-Member District 5. It's currently zoned single-family residential, that is RS1. A cemetery, which is considered in our zoning ordinance as a community service use, is not a permitted use in the RS1 zoning district. So it is therefore what is called a legal non-conforming use. So that should say non-conforming. The cemetery staff, or that is the city, is proposing to construct a columbarium, which is a new word for me and is actually found in the zoning ordinance. So the zoning ordinance, in fact, identifies this particular use and construction. An expansion of illegal non-conforming uses require either a rezoning or a planning commission approval for an expansion of a legal non-conforming use. Based on staff's recommendation, in fact, for any future expansion, it's easier and cleaner to go ahead and rezone the property to office warehouse, make all the uses which would be permitted under community service use an allowed use, and this way any further expansions or changes or growth to the cemetery can be done without further planning commission approval or city council approval. So the action requested is to approve a waiver of the $508 rezoning application fee for the Fairmount Cemetery.
Who wants to lead off on this one? Anybody have feelings? Rodney?
No, I move to approve.
Second.
Any other council discussion? Do I have public comment on this item? Motion has been made that we approve waiving the fees for Fairmount Cemetery. It has been seconded. Ms. Grindstaff, if no further discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That is 7-0. Thank you, ma'am. Number 11 is awarding of RFP P100115 for an audiovisual system in the City Council chambers to Media Rushworks LLC of Flower Mound, Texas, authorizing the staff to negotiate a contract not to exceed $325,000, authorizing the city manager as designee to execute said contract and any related documents. Mr. Wilson, you are on, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, as you guys are all aware, we broadcast these meetings on SATV. I'm hyper aware of that every time I go into a grocery store. And we also air these meetings live on our website at cosatx.us/watch. And we put some of what we broadcast on our social media as well. And we do so using equipment that is sort of a piecemeal system that is 10 plus years old. So in terms of technology, we're using a buggy whip right now in order to record these meetings. As you are also aware, last year we began collecting something called a PEG fee, PEG standing for Public Educational and Governmental Channel. And SATV is a governmental channel, and we collect these fees from our cable provider, and they are restricted to one use and one use only, and that is to make capital improvements that result in content being placed on SATV. And that's sort of what brings us here today. We need to update our audiovisual equipment in this room and back where Brian and I do the recording so that we are more up to date and provide a better product, not only for the audience that's watching on SATV, but the audience that's here in the council chambers as well. So we sent out an RFP to 6 vendors, including 1 local vendor. 3 submitted proposals. 1 of those, however, was disqualified for failing to attend the pre-bid meeting as was required. After doing scoring the proposals and after conducting interviews with the 2 qualified vendors, Media Rushworks ranked as the highest. And I can say that they have an excellent reputation among municipal information officers across the state. I checked with some of my peers who have done business with Rushworks across the state, and they give them nothing but the highest grades. They offer a proprietary system that is flexible, it's adaptable, and it's nimble. And I'd like to just run you through real quickly what we would be getting if we were to purchase this system. First of all, the cameras that are here in the council chambers, they're currently standard definition. We would go to high definition. Our channel is not a high def channel, but it still would involve an upgrade in the quality of the video that people are watching on SATV. Everything that we do on YouTube, everything that we do on social media is in high definition. This, I think, is really key. We could begin broadcasting our council meetings live on SATV. And then, as you may know, we need several hours after one of these meetings is finished in order to compress video files and then render those files in order to get those up onto SATV. We could begin rebroadcasting city council meetings within minutes of their conclusion with this new system. The 65-inch monitors that you see up on the walls and on front of this podium, we would replace with screens that are at least this large and hopefully larger. And the ones here on the walls would swing out on an articulating arm, which would make it much easier for people in the audience to view. I noticed as I was walking in, the people here on the left side of the room were having to crane their necks up to look at that. That wouldn't be the case any longer. This is really key, I think, as well. Here at the lectern and on our side tables, we would have some touch screens that have annotation for presentation materials. So for instance, when you guys say, if there's a map up here and you say, where's that on the map, and we have to use the mouse in order to sort of point out, now we could, with a pen or a finger, draw and point out things that make it much easier for you and for our audience and our viewing audience to see. At each of your places on the dais, there would be 19-inch monitors for better viewing of the presentations. So you could have a much better view than having to look here in the front of the podium. We would continue to use the existing light and sound system, although that would be tweaked for better performance by Rushworks. We would replace all of the public information production equipment in the back with a system that will allow for a much higher quality and seamless broadcast. As I mentioned right now, we sort of have to piecemeal things together, and it's a very old system. This also is key. Part of this RFP called for a portable system for filming and broadcasting meetings off-site. And so, for instance, when you had your strategic planning meeting at Fort Concho, we did hear some interest from people who wanted to see that discussion. We didn't have the capability for doing that. This would allow that. At lunchtime, when you have your lunch meeting with the Downtown Development Commission, that is something that we could have our portable system up there and show that as well. So I think that's really key, so that everything that we do wouldn't have to necessarily be in this room, because this is the only space that we currently have equipped in order to put a broadcast on SATV. I want to mention one other thing about that strategic planning meeting at Fort Concho. Some people say, well, why don't you just set up a camera and film it? Well, because you have to have a microphone system for that. Otherwise, you can't tell what's being said or who's being said. And when you only have one camera and you have a room full of 20 people, it's just not going to work. And this portable system would provide for that. This is also vital to this project, is we would have a new server, a computer server that would serve SATV. Our current channel server, we had a pretty significant crash last year. We were working with a vendor who was repairing this remotely. They wanted to send us a disk, and we said that wouldn't work for us because this computer is so old, it doesn't even have a disk drive, if you can imagine that. So, of the 2 qualified vendors, Rushworks was the only vendor to include the server and the portable system in the proposal as requested in the RFP. So Rushworks' proposal totaled nearly $202,000. They did have an option for a wireless mic upgrade for the portable system, which we very much want to do because otherwise it would involve us having to hardwire all the different microphones that we would need if we were in a remote location. We want to negotiate an upgrade to the 80-inch monitors. Their RFP included 65-inch monitors, and we'd also like to negotiate the longest possible service agreement that we can. And the reason that we want to do that now is because if we do it now, we can pay for it with the PEG fees. If we sign this contract without having negotiated a long-term service agreement, then at some point we would have to pay for that with general fund dollars. So from a financial sense, it makes the best sense to do that with our PEG fees. Our FY15 technology capital budget is $325,000. If you were to look at what was originally proposed last year, one of our local bloggers made mention of this, so I do want to explain. Initially we did propose a $250,000 budget, but we had $75,000 after the end of the last fiscal year because these are restricted funds, they have to carry over and be used just for this particular purpose. So that's the difference between the $250,000 that was initially budgeted and this figure that you see here. And just FYI, we collect about $65,000 quarterly in PEG fees from Sunlink Communications. So here's what we're recommending. We're recommending that the RFP be awarded to Media Rushworks, that you authorize staff to negotiate a contract not to exceed $325,000, and we don't anticipate that the cost is going to come in anywhere close to that. That's just to provide, the cushion because that's what our budget is. And again, we want to negotiate a few of those fine points in regards to the size of the screens and the service agreement, and that you authorize the city manager then to execute the contract.
Who's leading? Don?
Well, and this may be a Michael question more than yours. Why did we do a request for a proposal when it's $300,000 instead of a request for bid?
Well, I can answer that, Councilman.
Okay.
The reason for that is because we're not purchasing a widget here. This is in essence, it's a construction project. I mean, we're asking someone to design the project, to provide all the equipment, and to do the install. So we're not actually purchasing a system, we're purchasing a set of services that includes the system.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Andy wanted to say widget.
Okay. Well, it just seemed like a lot of money for that sort of thing. I just don't want to get us in a bind.
No, sir. I mean, this will use up a lot of what we have currently in our accounts for the PEG fees, but that account is replenished on a quarterly basis to the tune of $65,000.
Right.
Charlotte?
There I have a question. Your PEG fees is something new. This came into being, last year?
Yes, ma'am.
Just started getting PEG fees. This is a question for Michael. Michael, PEG fees have an account all their own? Nothing comes in or goes out other than just PEG fees?
No commingled.
That's my understanding.
Actually, I can answer that, and that is
Okay.
in fact the case.
Okay. Franchise fees. If the city takes a hit in the current legislative session looking at franchise fees and we lose money in franchise fees, the first place I want to look at making up that loss is PEG fees.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you thinking about franchise fees. They're a significant part of our budget. But I think Anthony has kind of been on top of PEG fees since before they actually suddenly started working with us on them. And it is a very restricted kind of revenue source.
That's right, Councilwoman. In fact, Mr. Solari here did a legal opinion for us. He did a lot of legal research, And the law is clear, and there's no wiggle room that these fees are to be used solely for capital improvements related to a PEG channel that results in content being placed on that channel.
You answered my question. Thank you.
Don't stop trying, though. Keep thinking about revenues.
I'm interested in anything that I think makes the channel more user-friendly. It enhances the experience for people that are here at the meeting. So I know it seems like a lot of money, but I think when we did this room the first time, or I don't know which time, the room we're looking at now, we really did it on a shoestring budget. And I think that sound quality and the recording and the replaying is important to a lot of people that simply can't come to the meetings, especially our elderly population. So I think it's money well spent, and as you said, it can't be used for anything else. So as long as the public understands that, I'm happy with it. I'd make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
I appreciate you making that motion without the use of the word widget.
I have,
It was on the tip of my tongue, though.
Yeah.
I have one question.
Yes, sir. Marty.
So we'll be moving to high def.
You're going to look better than ever, Councilman.
We'll look thinner.
He didn't say that.
We'll look thinner.
And younger.
This system is good.
Enough said, Anthony. Thank you.
Johnny?
Anthony, the extended service agreement, what does that mean? How much longer? Or
Well, I talked to one of my peers who was able to negotiate a 7-year agreement, and so that's going to be what I'm going to be shooting for.
I think you can get 10. Go for it.
From your lips to
then-
God's ears.
And then also, how does the 19-inch monitors here in the dais work? I don't see how that would work.
And we've spoken with Rushworks about that because, I mean, obviously, we still need you guys to be able to have your laptops, and so they assured us that they'll be able to work with that, so.
Yeah, I think that might even be a necessity since you'll already have the 80-inch right there in front of us, so that may just be something, since you're negotiating the 80-inch across the board, the 19 may go out anyway. That's something we discussed.
And I always wondered why these things didn't pivot to the audience.
Well, and these screens, of course, are, I mean, they are very heavy. It took like 5 men to lift each one of these screens up when they were first installed. Now, the screens are about this thin, and, you or I could pick it up by ourselves. So I think that's one of the things that's going to help facilitate those being on an articulating arm.
Mayor, I have one last question. Is it okay? The 201,000 plus the 13,000, is that the microphone part of it, or?
Those are microphones for the wireless microphones for the portable system. So if we were to go with a wired system, then each time that we use that portable system, we'd have to be dragging cables and wiring everything, as opposed to just, turning on a microphone and putting it where it needs to be.
So then, am I thinking that the next time we were to have a strategic meeting at Port Concho, for example, we would all have microphones in front of us, or is that?
Yes, sir.
What does that mean?
Yes, sir.
Great.
Okay.
Can,
Well, that's two
can we
questions.
use PEG funds for makeup for Councilman Self?
Backup for Councilman Self.
Makeup.
Makeup for Councilman Self. That might actually be
That
a
or
capital
Jenny Craig.
improvement.
But you're already collecting these fees.
It's
so
an
they're-
improvement, and it's a capital idea,
And
so.
with HD, it's probably going to be needed.
Go ahead and negotiate that.
Okay.
We do have a motion on the floor. Is there any further council discussion on this? Do I have public comment before I call for the vote?
You're going to replace these cameras?
Yes, sir. Those are the standard
Those are
definition
standard.
cameras, so they would be replaced with
question.
panning,
Oh,
tilting,
let me shut up.
high-def
That's three
cameras.
questions.
Motion has been made. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Put a 7-0 on it. Thank you, Anthony. Number 12 is the first public hearing in consideration of introducing an ordinance amending Appendix A, fee schedule, Article A2000, Section A2.011, penalties of the San Angelo Code of Ordinances by re-entitling said section additional inspection fees, to restate said section in its entirety, to add an additional inspection fee for work commenced without the required permit, and to add an additional inspection fee for work concealed prior to a required inspection. Mr. Torres.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. I am here to discuss this ordinance change for additional inspection fees. In summary, again, what we're basically doing is we have an existing ordinance section in our fee structure that's entitled penalties. We have for years base these administrative fees that we issue for violations based on that ordinance. Our city attorney's office, however, has noted a while back that really wasn't the way it should be worded, so they've done some research and some work and reworded this for us. So we'll be rewording that same section from penalties to additional inspection fees. So essentially, we will be adding an inspection fee for additional work that's involved when investigating work commencing without a required permit. And the second part is to add an inspection fee for additional work involved when work is concealed prior to a required inspection. These are our two most common violations that we see from contractors, and we're basically looking for a process by which we can recoup our costs when we have to deal with these violations, and then we can move on. Essentially, like I said, the penalty fees, as outlined in the current ordinance, are not in line with the law. The wording is not in line with laws. Municipal court enforcement is still an option. We still, even with these investigative fees that we're proposing, when a contractor does one of these violations, we're still going to issue that. If accepted, we will issue this new administrative fee to recoup our costs, but we would still have the option, if in certain cases, to still proceed with issuing municipal court citations and letting the municipal court system rule further on penalties. And then lastly, well, again, we're just basically trying to recoup our costs. And what we did was we did a bunch of research on what it's requiring us to take, our inspectors, our administrative staff, my time. We used dollar per hour figures that are currently in the ordinance that are spelled out already, and try to come up with some figures for what we should be charging to recoup our time. And essentially, this is a kind of a description of what we're doing on each of these to make up that time. Lastly, our recommendation is that work commencing without a permit shall be charged an additional inspection fee of 2 times the full amount of any permit required, essentially doubling their permit fee. And concealing work, because that one's a little more specific on inspections, basically if they conceal work prior to obtaining a required inspection, they'll be charged an additional inspection fee of $252. And as if anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Who wants to start this one? I don't have a problem with charging a fee that reflects what it cost us. I don't have a problem with that. But this business of doubling a fee just because we can is punitive. I don't see that accomplishes anything. It just makes bad will in the community. I mean, if we're going to charge them what it cost us, let's charge them what it cost us. But by doubling it, I will not support that. So that's my 2 bits. Who else is next?
Don. Didn't you have your hand up?
No.
Who had their hand up? Rodney, do you have your hand up?
I have my hand up if no one else does. So you're explaining that the city, you or the city attorney realized that we were implementing a policy that was not reflected in ordinance.
Correct.
Sure.
Sure, Dan.
Comment on that. The fees are to be based to reimburse the city for costs. So we alerted the department, when they were suggesting penalties. A violation of the Code of Ordinances is a Class C misdemeanor, and those penalties would come out of the municipal court. So, and as you've stated, that process is in place, but so that provision in the ordinance for the codes department to impose a penalty was not something that the city should be doing. So we asked the department to make a study, and if there's a project that starts without a permit, there is additional time required of staff to go back and inspect something to bring themselves up to where they would be if the person had come in with a permit. And there is even more time if the project is further along, things are concealed, they have to make several visits, And it is only justifiable as a reimbursement. So if you have some questions about the actual costs, maybe that could be directed to staff. You may want them to bring something back later if you don't feel there's enough there. But staff did conduct a study, made estimates of the amount of time on average and what it would take to recover those costs, which was the original intent.
I think that most of our contractors are honest, hardworking, and attempt to the best of their ability to follow the ordinance. And so not having something punitive in there actually rewards the person breaking the law rather than helping the person that follows the law. So I would say, 95% of our contractors are doing it the right way. So I have no problem with the policy that you've presented here.
And in essence, if I can add two things, the 2 times the permit fee, we did look at dollar figures, but the projects vary so much in scope. If somebody's just doing a house permit that's a $200 permit, then essentially we're doing extra work to go out there and verify what has already been done, what needs to be done, and there's a lot of time spent on following up on that. On a big commercial project, of course, the permit fee is greater, but it's also taken us a lot more time to go out there and verify all of this. So that's why we base that one on the permit fee. I will add also that what we've been doing, based on the ordinance as it's outlined now, is for work commencing without a permit. And again, this was a penalty fee, not an additional investigative fee. The penalty fee was 2 times the permit amount for a first offense, and then 4 times for the second offense, and it went up from there. In our case, we don't have an escalating because it's not a penalty. We're basically just trying to recoup that cost. It would always be the same. It would always be the same 2 times. The same thing with the concealed work. Under the current penalty clauses, it's $250 for the first violation, $400 for the second violation, $750, and it goes up again, escalating. We're not doing that because, again, we're not looking at this as a penalty fee like the existing ordinance does. We are simply looking at this as a investigative fee to help recoup our costs.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Don?
I have one question. Since it's not a penalty fee, what happens if you come out and say we're doubling your permit? You've already got the money for the regular permit fee. I tell you, go jump in the lake, I'm not paying it.
At that point, we would write a municipal citation, and they would have to go to the judge.
You'd go ahead and file?
Settle it in court.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Go ahead, Marty.
So there's no, do we consider extenuating circumstances? And I don't have an example, I'm just.
Yes, sir.
The mom and pop that add on to the back of their house.
Yes, sir. There's always that option, and what we have now, what we've been doing in the past with the penalty fees that are prescribed now, although Rodney said we have a form that basically they come in and fill out, and they always have the right to come and see me and to discuss extenuating circumstances. If it's a matter of interpretation of the code, they always have the right to appeal any decision that I make to the Construction Board of Adjustments and Appeals. At that point, if we're still adamant that they are in violation and they're still adamant that they're not, at that point we could turn it over to municipal court and let them go through that process.
Yeah, I'm more concerned. I agree with Liz that our builders basically they know what they have to do and they go through it. But you have those small instances where somebody wants to add on their back of the house and they just do it, and the first thing you know, that somebody comes by and
right. And I will add that for the most part, a lot of this is aimed at the builders that are not following the rules.
Okay.
Mom and pops, we really strive hard to work with them and make sure they get.
Great, thank you.
Johnny?
But Al, what is the true law? I mean, if I'm adding a closet to the back of my house or a storage shed, I mean, am I not allowed to do that? Me as the owner, I own the property. I need a permit.
I don't have the exact language memorized, of course, but there is a very specific set of circumstances that if you are doing this, it requires a building permit. If you're adding a closet and that's all you're doing, just that's not a walk-in closet, then probably not. But if you are reconfiguring your space in any way, if you're adding a wall, even if it's not a structural wall, it still requires a permit, because we have to look and see if you're changing how somebody can get out of that space. For instance, if there's a fire, we have to look and make sure if you're changing it from say a garage to a bedroom, we have to make sure there's an emergency egress window. So there's a long list of things that we'll look at. If you're not sure, we encourage you to come in and sit down with one of our people. We'll look at it and say, no, that doesn't require a permit.
So
or yes, it does.
Is it then safe to say that any permit, the bottom line is safety? Is that what you're looking at?
Pretty much, yes. Health, safety, and welfare is the overriding principle that we look at.
Let me ask you this. If I'm replacing my sewer line, does that need, if
Yes.
I'm doing it, I'm digging,
It still requires a permit. And that goes back to state of Texas licensing laws as well. Plumbing, electrical, mechanical, those trades are all governed by the state. Plumbers have a license, electricians and mechanical contractors, and they are very specific on work that's done by them. However, the state in all three of those trades does allow homeowners to do their own work. You still have to get a permit because you still have to do it correctly, and we still have to come out and inspect to make sure you did it correctly, using the right kinds of materials, the right kinds of fittings, joints, et cetera, that you're still meeting code. But you are allowed to do that as a homeowner.
That's what I understood. Okay.
I think that's what our municipal court is for. I don't like punitive charges. I don't like doubling fees because someone failed to do something. I'm against this. I think if there's a problem, then that's why we have a municipal court. If there's a problem and you see that there's a problem, then write them a citation, let them take it to court, and let the court decide.
No, that's why we
their
make
job.
laws or we make ordinances. That's what we do. That's not what the court does. They follow through with it, so.
God, I don't like these punitive charges.
Right.
And
The other problem with going with a penalty, and of course, we will still continue to do that in a lot of cases, and it requires a lot of extra time on my staff's part, which we frankly just can't afford, because we have to build up a case, and we have to be down there and sit in court waiting for it. My inspectors just don't have that kind of time.
I'm more concerned about the citizens of San Angelo than I am an inspector that works for the city.
Right.
And I think that the citizens ought to be taken care of. I think they ought to have top priority, and I think that they ought to have the highest consideration. And a double penalty, double cost what something costs, to me is punitive.
But
And I'm
don't
more
you-
concerned with my citizens than I am with the city staff.
Well, the
But
penalty
don't you see that's
fee.
his job is to protect the citizens?
I do.
That is his
And I
reason
think
for
that's what-
being.
That's
And-
what municipal court's for.
And the penalty fee is going to be a lot more than what this fine is going to be, because we're doubling the permit fee, but if they go to court, it's going to be more than that.
We do have a motion to accept. We do have a second. Any further comment? Do I have public comment on this? Call for the motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
One nay.
2 days.
2 nays. Let's put a 5-2 on it. All right, it is 11:51. We do have a joint meeting with the Downtown Association that has been called for noon. This is a joint special meeting with the Downtown Development Commission, and this is to commence at 12 o'clock. So I think it's about time that we break so that the downtown group and I and us and we can have our meeting. Do have some executive to read. Executive closed session. Are we going to be gone all at the same time? Are we going to have the meeting in here? Okay, so we'll have the downtown meeting here in this, so this will commence at 12. And
No, it'll be up there. The downtown development commission will be up there, but they will have to come and reconvene before.
Okay, we need now to break so that we can have the meeting with the Downtown Association at 12 o'clock. After the meeting with the Downtown Association at 12 o'clock, when that meeting concludes, we will come back down here to the dais. I will then read the executive sessions, and we will go back and do our executive sessions. Is that right, Brian?
It'll be up to you whether or not you want to take the rest of the regular agenda or if you want to go straight into executive session. Yes.
Okay, well, right now, we're going to break. It's 11:53 for our meeting with the Downtown Association at 12. What do you think this will take?
Couple of days.
I'll say, what, 45 minutes? 45 minutes to an hour, and then we'll come back down here, we'll reconvene, we'll read the executive, and we'll go back and have lunch and take care of executive. So, 12:53, we're out. Go. It is 1:13. I'll call this meeting back to order. I would like to suggest, council, tell me what you want to do. I would like to suggest that we take 14, 15, 16, and 17, and let's deal with these 4 issues. 18 has to go back to executive.
Okay.
So let's take these 4 issues, let's deal with them, then let's go to executive, and then we'll come back and deal with 18. Do I have is everybody agreeable with that?
Mayor, before you get agreement, 16 and 17 are related to 18.
Okay, so we're just looking at,
So all we're gonna do then will be 14 and 15, I guess.
You could take 20 as well. If you
Oh, yeah.
want to.
Yeah, but that did, yeah, okay.
That-
All right, I guess then we'll take 14 and 15 and 20, and then we'll go to executive, come back and get 16, 17, and 18. Does council agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. 14, discussion and consideration of offering vision insurance benefits to city retirees during the next open enrollment period by Councilman Vardaman. Lisa Marney.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, and City Manager. I was asked to look into the possibility of offering vision insurance to our retirees during our next open enrollment period. And just as a matter of history, back in 2013, when we introduced dental benefits to our retirees, we discussed visions just slightly, and at that time there was no interest in doing so, but I am here today to get direction from you on whether or not you would like for us to offer that during the next enrollment period. Vision insurance as one of our benefits is one that the employee presently pays 100% of the cost. The city does not bear any of that cost for the insurance. We are also not self-insured under the vision program, so the benefits are paid by an actual insurance company. So I don't see any cost to us other than the administration of enrolling people at the time that they retire or during open enrollment.
I thought that it was offered at that time. My bad. But my point was, I think that the retirees should have the same opportunity to be able to get it if they need it and want it. And I know that practically when one's approved, you start working on the next year's insurance, and so I didn't want to wait until the 11th hour and throw it in there and mess
Absolutely.
up everything, or it'd have to wait another year.
I appreciate that.
So,
Thank you.
So that was what I was hoping
Great.
for. I didn't know if it was cost prohibitive or not.
You know, I don't think that it will be. In the memo, I did show you what the costs were for the
Right.
employees, from $490 to $1,570 a month. I did speak with the current provider to see if they would have a packet that they would be able to offer to us, and obviously there is one. And it's anywhere from 10 to 15% higher than an employee's premium, but I don't think that's going to make it cost prohibitive.
Well, and like I said, if it's not a big issue as far as from the city staff being able to do that, well, then I would really like to do that. And I also think that the majority of the retirees would love to have that opportunity also.
And it's strictly up to whether or not they want to enroll, correct?
Right.
Exactly. Mhm.
So do we need a motion?
Is this something you're going to bring back on an agenda?
Well, yeah,
item,
if
or
you,
can we
well,
do it?
what'll happen is when I bring you all of the insurance later in the year, we'll be going out to bid for vision, and then we'll have that information for you.
Consensus is that we allow the retirees to enter into this if they desire. Is that the consensus of council?
Yes.
Yes.
Bring it back then.
Very good.
That give you your direction, ma'am?
Absolutely.
Thank you
I
very
think it'd be
much.
smart going forward that we offer the retirees anything that the
And
that
that's,
the
without a
employees
doubt,
have.
something
They
that-
just have to pay for it, but I'm not sure why like Don, why that never happened, so kind of an oversight on our part.
Yeah. Well, and I was sitting
Oh,
here,
I did
so
it
it was
again.
my
Never
bad.
mind. It's a pun, never mind.
Okay. All right.
Lisa, I want to talk to you about vision later on.
Okay.
Got an idea.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, number 15 is consideration of adopting a resolution modifying the 215 through 2020 capital improvement plan. Morgan Chegwidden.
Good afternoon, Council. What I have before you is a quick item for consideration and a request to add the Twin Mountain Drive Extension project to the 2015 CIP. The estimated cost of that project is $3,910,000 to construct Twin Mountain Drive from its current terminus to US 67. I have Russell Pell available to speak about any details related to the project, but procedurally this is before you because it was requested to be in the CIP. We would request that we modify the resolution to have this in there as part of the plan.
Mayor, we had a specific request from a council member that this be included as a project. The staff member that would have prepared that doesn't work for us anymore. They did not submit the documentation necessary to get a proposal added to the CIP. Because Ms. Farmer specifically requested this, we assured her that we would bring it back as a possible modification, propose a modification to the CIP so that this could be added, because it was an oversight on part of a staff member. And so we're proposing to amend the CIP to add this project because it was a specific request from a council member.
Where does this come in priority now to Bell Street and to College Hills and to these other streets that the people are adamant about having repaired? I mean, where does this put this in priority with Bell Street?
Mayor, there is no priority established. It's simply part of the list of things that are needed. You will establish that priority, and you'll actually determine the method that we establish the priority when you're ready to make those decisions.
This just doesn't allocate funding. It just
adds to the wish list.
CIP is just a tool that we use.
Johnny, you have a problem with it?
No, sir. I mean,
okay. Because Johnny and I will be hung from a bridge somewhere if this were built before Bell Street was repaired.
Well, but someone else is going to be hung if we don't start looking at things like this. Just, on the transportation plan, as we allow new subdivisions to grow, if we're not looking at issues like this, we're all going to be hung. So
I agree.
We're outgrowing, and we're not.
No, but and I agree with the mayor's saying, and I agree with what you're saying, Elizabeth. I totally see this. But
I backed Bell Street last night.
We know where we're at. We know where priorities are. So
well, but it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. We need to maintain what we've got before we jump out there and get other things. So it's pay me now, pay me later kind of proposition.
Sure. Rodney?
And this is just adding to a wish list, strictly a wish list, because any new developers that come into that area, and as that area is developed, they should be putting in that road, not us spending $4 million on that. So I don't even like us putting that number out there, because I don't think that us as a city should be building this road. The developers of that area will be building that road as we get to it.
Well, there's a portion of it we're going to have to build.
But we don't.
It's a very slim portion, though.
But it has to compete. The point is, it has to compete with every other project out there.
Yeah, and it'd be at the bottom.
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
No problem.
Good job, Morgan.
Do you need a motion to move it to the? I make motion to
modify
move
the
project to the capital improvement plan.
Anybody going to second that?
Second.
Do I have a motion and a second to move this to the capital improvement plan? I've still got some concerns about this, and I know it's necessary, but I think as this is developed, this will take care of itself, and I don't want to get this in a priority above the other things that we have got to do first, and that's my only concern. Comments from the audience? Public comment? Any other comment from the council? Motion has been made. Do we add this to the capital improvement plan? It's been seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Let's see a raise of hands. We got 2 ayes, 3 ayes. Let's see the nays. That's 4. Motion fails. All right, it is now time to go into our executive.
Morgan, you only had 3.
Thank you for that, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Let me find the executive on this. There it is, executive. All right, executive session.
under the revisions of Government Code Title V, Open Government's Ethics, Subtitle A, Open Government, Chapter 551, Open Meetings, Subchapter D, Exception Requirements, that meetings be open under the following sections. Number 1, Section 5510711A, consult with attorney when the governmental body seeks the advice of its attorney about pending or contemplated litigation regarding matter for Hirschfield Energy Systems, LLC, ETAL. Section 551A1, to deliberate the appointment of the internal auditor. Item 18 on our agenda today regarding the First Financial Bank building. Section 551072, to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. It is 1:24. I'm taking us to executive. Then we'll come back and finish. We're on now. It is 1:55. We will reconvene our meeting. We are now at number 16, which is the first public hearing and introduction of an ordinance amending the 215 budget for capital projects. Ms. Morgan, you're on, ma'am.
Good afternoon. I have 2 items before you for consideration on this budget amendment. The first item is to budget for the San Angelo Area Foundation grant related to improvements at the Animal Services Facility. That was approved by the council January 6th. Just need to put that in the budget. The second item is related to the building and acquisition improvements for an amount of $1,627,699, and this is related, of course, to the First Financial Bank building. And proceed with this first hearing, although the funding will be discussed and finalized at a later date.
Do I have a motion to approve the amendment?
Move approval.
Second.
Do I have a second, Marty? I do have a motion from Marty, a second from Don. Do I have further council discussion on that? Do I have public discussion on this? Motion has been made that we accept the amendment to the budget ordinance as listed. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That'll be a 6-0 vote. Number 17 is consider adoption of a resolution expressing official intent to reimburse cost of projects. Ms. Bonnell?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. What we have before you is a reimbursement resolution in anticipation of purchasing the building at 301 West Beauregard. It allows us some time, 18 months from the date of adoption or first expenditure, to make a decision on how and when we want to use the building. So just need council to adopt it. If you have any questions about any of the costs, these are all of the foreseeable costs that we would expect. And of course, we can actually amend this or adopt a second resolution if necessary in the future.
I'll entertain a motion on this.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I do have a motion from Ms. Grindstaff. I do have a second from Marty. Do I have further council consideration?
One question real quick.
Yes, sir.
On the phase 1, we expect it to be much less than that, correct?
Yes, we were just trying to get a good estimate, just trying to be safe.
I think we were just talking about 7,000.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
We're closer to 7,500, I believe.
Okay.
So we've got a little extra in there for it?
Yes,
That's
sir.
good. Public comment on this item before we vote. Motion has been made. Do we accept the reimbursement resolution as presented? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. Put a 6-0 on that one. Now, we're leading up to number 18, which is the reason for number 16, and number 17, which is consideration of adopting a resolution authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute a real estate sales contract with First Financial Bank, N.A., in substantially the attached form, subject to the revision as the city manager may approve in consultation with the interim city attorney, and related legal documents for the purchase by city of an office building and approximately 3.451 acres of land in Block 32, Maintown Addition, San Angelo, Tom Green County, Texas, for an amount not to exceed $1,627,699. You taking this one, Michael?
Yes, sir. You'll note that that amount is different than we've talked about for the purchase. That includes everything that is currently on the screen, which Ms. Bonnell just went over with you. So that amount includes costs beyond purchase, includes due diligence costs as they are estimated. This contract is nearing completion. We have some small terms to finalize, but we are proposing the contract in substantially the format that you see and that we just covered in executive session. We recommend approval to authorize the city manager to complete the negotiation and execute the contracts in substantially the format presented.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I do have a motion from Don that we accept the reimbursement resolution and the motion to purchase the First Financial Bank to allow the city manager to negotiate the final. I do have a second from Rodney. Was Were you the second, Rodney?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it has been, do I have any public comment on this item before we vote? Are there any questions of council before we vote on this issue? Ms. Grindstaff? Okay. If not, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. Put a 6-0 vote on that one.
Thank you.
Number 19 is consideration and possible action on matters discussed in executive closed session if needed. We just handled that deal with 18.
Do we need to take an open session vote on that other issue?
No,
The
we don't.
personnel issue?
No.
No.
we're fine.
Okay.
That's personnel issue?
Yes.
Okay, so 18 was the one that we discussed in executive. We've already handled that. Number 19 is consideration of approving various board nominations by council and designated council members. Fort Concho Museum Board is Roger Banks. He is appointed by the mayor to a first full term, May 2018. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I do have a motion from Elizabeth. Do I have a second from Rodney? Any further council discussion on Roger Banks? Public opinion, Roger Banks. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Put a 6-0 on that one. Announcements and consideration of future agenda items. Start with you, Ms. Grindstaff.
Just a reiteration that my neighborhood chat is May 18th. Featured guest is the one and only Anthony Wilson. We'll meet at 6 p.m. at Lee Middle School, and we'll be there for only an hour. So join us for a quick meeting and then home to your family.
Don, did you have anything, sir?
Well, since this is just about my last hurrah, I have a list of 27 things. No, I don't
They're all
have
for Shane,
anything.
aren't they? He laughed the loudest.
It's been a good ride, Don.
Yes, sir.
Charlotte, did you have anything, man?
Yes, want to remind everyone of the town hall meeting, May 21st, Southland Baptist Church. And again, that time is 5:30? 5:30, wow. And I am anticipating a large group at Southland Baptist Church with reference to the trash, so be there.
And I'm glad you're finally getting this out, Anthony. This is, I'm glad we're finally getting these town meetings started. Johnny, do you have anything? Marty, how about you? Do you have anything?
Yeah, could we get an update on where we stand on the pavement study that, and then I think we were working on some new, the planning department was working on some new ordinances or zoning.
Hiring a consultant, that one's going to be coming. Daniel approved a memo on that just recently, so we'll be going through a selection process for a consultant to work on the zoning.
Okay,
So
thank
that
you.
one's an upcoming agenda item.
Okay, great, thank you.
That's
all.
yours? Other than curb cuts, Rodney, what do you have, sir?
This is a question for finance, if they could find out for me next time. On the money from the fund, the Lake Nasworthy Fund, is that, I know we can get 10% off of that a year that we can use, and we're using that towards the boat dock that we're going to be building out there. Is that a fiscal year or calendar year?
We are?
Yes, we are.
Yes, ma'am.
It's 10% of the investment income,
Right.
period.
No, but there's only so much you can use per year off of that fund. I remember there was something in there. I thought
10% of
It's
the
just 10%.
earnings.
of the earnings.
So,
just-
yes,
But
so-
is it a fiscal year or a calendar year?
Usually at the end of the fiscal year, we true that up and make sure that we set aside that 10% each year
Okay.
of the investment income. Is that?
Yeah, because I've got
Right.
another project, and I'm thinking if I need to ask for this other project, and it's going to take 3 years for this other project, I should start it right now.
They could
Yeah,
give you an
but-
accounting of what exists.
We
in the
can. I
account.
can get you some more information on that.
Do what?
They can give you an accounting of what exists in the account now
Yeah.
that we've accumulated over the years because we
Because
don't
we already
spend it all.
we have the contract already with T4C on the other deal.
Excuse
believe
me,
so.
but this discussion.
I think
really
they can
is-
outweigh
Okay, well, just, I just want information in the future, then.
Sure.
I'm asking
We
for.
can.
I
Would you
think
like that
they
as
can
an
outweigh
agenda
some-
item, or would you like that in a Friday
No, just
memo
do that
for
to a
now?
Friday packet, please.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
We're now at item number 22. I need some help.
Move for
Motion to
adjournment.
adjourn.
This meeting is over.
Yeah.